All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Ware Board of Selectmen for October 4th, 2021. We started at 6:30 with a couple of non-publics to interview a couple of DPW/transfer station candidates, which brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, brings us to our next order of business, which is retirement ceremony for Officer Paul Lewis. Recognize Chief Moore.
And we have one right before that.
Oh, okay.
So, Ricker? So, as you're aware, our ACO has retired, or not retired, resigned. She served September 2019 through September 2021. She retired because she took a full-time job, was no longer able to be on call for us. So we're presenting her with a certificate of recognition for her service.
One more.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. And if family wants to come in too, so they can see.
Family,
Friends.
everybody come out here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Paul, you can right up there.
Front and center.
Yep. That's fine.
Turn to your right. Turn to your right.
Face the chief.
Face the chief.
Your other right.
He did turn to his right.
He did turn to his right.
He did.
Nice
And I'm
job.
looking up there going, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here to honor Paul Lewis. He was hired by Ware Police Department on July 16, 2018. He graduated the session 177 of the New Hampshire Police Standards and Training Council Academy on December 18, 2018. Completed his field training on May 23, 2019. Injured in the line of duty on August 1st, 2019. He was approved for medical retirement just last month. Officer William Paul Lewis has had to endure what no officer wishes to face, being shot in the line of duty and then focusing on recovery both mentally and physically to get back to some sense of normalcy. There are many challenges he would and will have to face as he continues on this journey. He has endured this, knowing members of the Ware Police Department and the community he served have his back and will provide any assistance needed to assist his recovery. Officer Lewis retires today, but he will always be a part of us as we would have it no other way. As a token of our appreciation of what he has had to endure, we would like to present him with this commemorative display as he retires.
Wow, that's incredible.
Nobody's seen it if you want to just kind of take around the room.
Everybody can pass it around. It's really awesome.
One's for the camera. Paul, good luck.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming out today. I invited people that have been very special to me along my way of recovery or even before that since the beginning. You know, Ware PD, I do want to say, I met so many injured officers over the last couple of years. Tons that have been in, shot in the line of duty, in car wrecks, you name it, I've talked to them. A lot of departments don't have their backs, don't do outgoing ceremonies like this, and they just feel left in the dark and cold. But Ware has had my back all the way through, and I'm so thankful for that. And all my friends that came here tonight, Sean, who has helped me with my mental health stuff, Tony, who has helped me with my mental health stuff, Scott, my family, my roommate Paul, who got the knock on the door at 2 a.m. saying I was shot. Everybody here is someone special to me, and I'm so grateful to have each and every one of you. For real.
upstairs where they need some pictures, so since it's raining.
Conservation room?
Yeah.
That should be wide open.
Okay.
You might have to, you can move chairs around, do whatever you want.
Thanks, Chad.
If y'all wanted the picture,
Say that again? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's good, because I can't read my own writing notes.
My pleasure.
Not going up there with him? You're not going up there with
No,
him?
I had your stuff down here.
You got a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a few minutes. We'll wait for you. You should be a part of that, sir.
Go give him a big hug.
Don't you want to go?
Okay. And we as the board do definitely thank Paul for his commitment and
Wish him the best in
wish
his
him the
retirement.
best in his retirement and in the future. So, all right, we're going to move around a little bit. We're going to do department head committee items first and recognize Director Knapp.
Well, since it's a packed house, if you guys just want to take 2 minutes and can hire my guy, if you vote for that, and then he can leave.
Yep.
We got a lot of people standing out there.
Absolutely.
So I had non-public with the board tonight, asking to hire 2 employees for Public Works. One is a truck driver at the Highway Department, and one is a transfer station attendant at the transfer station. The other gentleman had to get going, selling his house up north, and I knew he'd be a little while with everything, so we told him he could go. So we'll start with the transfer station attendant. I brought in Michael Eldridge to come in and start at the transfer station attendant immediately, starting tomorrow, at the rate of $17 an hour, and after 6 months, to go to $17.50.
I'll entertain a motion.
I don't have any of the info.
I'll make a motion, we hire Mike Eldridge as a transfer station attendant, starting at $17 an hour. At the end of 6 months probation, he'll go to $17.50, starting as of October 5th.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to abstain.
You're all set, you go home. I'll see you in the morning. 7:15. The other gentleman, his name is Ross Magoon, gonna come be a truck driver for me. And start him at 1806, after 6 months, go to 1860, he can start October 19th.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
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 My mess, did you just say that?
Organized chaos.
I don't know if there's any other questions while I'm here.
I
wanted-
see that the shoulder material has been laid on a couple of them
Yep, we got, Bogue and Etta, and that's it.
left.
Yeah, left. We did Mountain Road to sections that had been deteriorated in Hodgdon and Thorndike as we went along. They'll probably do the same thing on the way back to shop.
What
I
is that
got it for
material?
By the week. It's Bolton's crush. The roads that we did a 2-inch base on, that we reclaimed a 2-inch base on, such as Walker and Pine Hill, we used 1.5 inch. And then the roads that we top coated 1 inch, we used 3/4 inch, but it's Bolton's ledge pack. I try to save my gravel for my gravel roads, because we'll run out someday, so.
I like it. I want to buy some, that's all. That's all I want to know what it was.
They look really nice, and I've roamed around other towns, and they're doing the same type of work, and Pike's doing 77, and I don't think anybody else's looks any better than ours.
No.
I think they look fine. You can't, on a town road, have a perfect uniform shoulder all the time, because things get annoying.
And that stuff packs in good, so.
Yeah, and it packs good. We rented a little double drum roller from down across Country 3. And,
While you're here, technically, it's under correspondence. I received an email from a resident that rides bike up Sugar Hill past the town line into Hopkinton and back, and she mentioned that near the town line, there's a good chunk of the road that's just gone.
Okay.
On the eastern side, up towards the town line. It encroaches it's like about a 1 foot in, just gone.
I'll go look at it.
If we can take a look at that, yeah.
Yep. Yep. And I know that we have a couple people here waiting on a vote. I wanted to just throw in 2 cents on the ARPA money. I priced my trucks out, and they are much more expensive this year than last. And I believe we could get the truck that didn't get voted on last year, at least out of it. That would be great. They're 1 year out if we ordered one today, and that comes from 3 different dealerships, not just one. They're probably 40 grand more than they were last year. So to ask for 2 would be more burden than I'd like to ask, but we got to stay on track of some sort of equipment replacement. And I know that a couple of you had a question about the sign that I asked for, why I'd asked for it, and I just want to explain that. For one, it's a very good rate. It's about $3,000, $4,000 less if we went and bought a new one, and we use it daily. And if I had to, when you have road work going on, you have more than one road at a time, or you want to advertise for a job, or hazardous waste day, or the parade in the center of town, you know, and you can get it bought without asking the taxpayers for it, and it would be something the whole town uses. And I've let everybody use it that's asked.
I see it all over the time, please.
We take care of it, and it can do, we're learning more and more. It does unbelievable amount of things, you know, and obviously it works because the state's getting more and more of them. They put up just warnings for motorcycle week and slippery roads, and I had dreams of maybe putting one up, if it'll work or not, because now there's a house there, but always putting one up on Peacock at Mountain Road, you know, saying that plow trucks may be entering when it snows out, because we've had accidents on that. We have to plow both sides of the road, and when we're going up at 6 in the morning, traffic's coming down, you know, things like that. You could just, there's endless reasons. So I just had heard a question, why is Benji asking for another one? That's why. It's been an unbelievable tool. Both of these gentlemen that came in and put in for the job saw the sign. Well, the truck driver, his father saw it, but saw the sign at the transfer station. The internet, nobody paid attention to. Facebook, nobody, but that sign has brought a lot of attention.
Has there been any maintenance bills on the existing sign that we have?
Zero. Quit working once, just for a town meeting, and it's because it snowed, and then it was the weekend, we didn't brush snow off it, so. We
Couldn't
took the
recharge.
Snow off and the sun recharged, and so, no.
Okay.
No. And it's brand new, would be the same story, the one we just got, and actually, for some reason, it's gonna be $500 less than the one that I already got. So,
Same size display?
yep, same thing.
Okay.
But that said, I know there's lots of other happenings going on. I suppose I'll stay around for these folks' discussion.
Sounds good. Thank you, Benji. All right. What's the board feel about moving back to public comment?
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
Public comment. Tom?
It's just an update in case people were wondering. We approved the landscaping from in front of the town hall. I got hold of Peter Stockhouse. I texted him at the end of last week, and he got back to me today. Said he should have a date by the middle of the week as to when to start. And I told him that main thing is to have a level area before snow flies, because it'd be a little treacherous putting letters on that if you're standing on a slant. So he should be coming through with a timeline for us on that soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Any other public comment? Yes, no, maybe? All set, Frank? Okay. Anything under department head? Yes. Okay. Recognize Andy Fulton, Chair of the Conservation Commission. I guess that one right, even with the mask.
I want to try to clear any questions we have, any hurdles remaining, so that we could move ahead with the land purchase up on North Stark Highway. The board has taken up. We had a conditional PNS, and one of the conditions was appraisal value of the property. And we've looked into that. I always looked into it, and, you know, we're at a point where appraisers are months out and very long in their dollars. And a little bit of market analysis, Naomi's done, and I've looked at also comps, and I think we have just a terrific price that's being offered. So I'd like to encourage the Board of Selectmen to reconsider that requirement for an appraisal. Prices are, you know, thousands of dollars. And the concept that Vice Chairman Steve Nager had brought to the Selectmen back on the early on consideration just isn't available, which was basically a limited appraisal. And folks are just saying they're not doing that, and you know, 2 or 3 months out on getting an appraisal done just does not square with the opportunity for a purchase there. So my request is that the Board of Selectmen would reconsider that requirement, frankly rescind it, based on market analysis, similar comps that the town administrator is well aware of. And I'd like to answer any questions to that request tonight.
Yeah, there's also been, you need to share with them too, there's been a request from the title. The title insurance company suggested that we survey it because of the age and the vagueness of it.
Okay.
I think there's been some emails around it indicating that that would be a deal breaker. I don't know how you feel about that. The title search came up with it.
Well,
The title, or the deed references, without great specificity, I admit, references stone wall boundaries. And, you know, I've walked the stone wall boundaries of the place, and they're very evident. They're very well acknowledged by the neighbors. And I think at this point, while I would admit that the deed is not your typical meets and bounds, which is, you know, the premium on what you'd like to see in a deed. This is an old property in town that's been in the family for a long time, sort of a core of a 1,000+ acres there in North Ware, right up to the Henniker line. So I would appeal that it's, yes, admitting it's vague, but acknowledging that the actual landmarks on the property, on the boundaries of the property, are very well established, been there for a long time. So I do not believe the town is taking on risk and not, again, stipulating at this point that we need to survey that property. Our primary concern on that is that it's a seller who's basically got the market on his side. So we have a window here to close on the purchase and sale that we signed a couple months or a month plus ago. And I'd really like to move ahead with completing that deal and not asking for an extension or kicking this one down the road further. The market just is working against us, and could easily result in a much higher price than what the reasonable, approximately $3,500 an acre price for property with over 2,000 feet of frontage on 114. So it's
how big is the lot again?
85 acres.
And why is it time? Is that why it's a deal breaker for the survey?
The seller, an older man out of Massachusetts, is not 100%, and he's trying to close some of the loose ends on his estate while he's with us enough to manage it. So there is an urgency to, you know, get the deal done and not allow reconsideration, especially on the price, because it is very reasonable. It's been marketed higher, and we tried to get in with a simple early deal we've been working with this landowner, had conversations with him going back over 10 years. And very simple parcel, very well-defined bounds, very reasonable asking price. So my appeal is that we kind of clear the hurdle so that we can move ahead and set a closing date on it.
I mean, I only brought that to our attention because I think as the town that's gonna own it, we paid a title company to do it, that was the recommendation. The only concern, and I'm not opposed to the project at all, I've been a supporter of it. I've seen too many times that more or less becomes less if you have it surveyed. You say it's an old deed. You said there's 85, I think we have 80.5, doesn't matter. But I think if you have it surveyed and the actual meets and bounds are laid out, you could have less than the acreage for the same price. That's my only concern. That's why I bring it up. Because if we're telling everybody we're buying 85 acres or 80 acres, we have it surveyed and it becomes 30, just saying, there's a huge discrepancy and we've paid $300,000, what we thought we were getting 80. That's my only concern, as I'm not trying to
And-
stop
and
the
some- and
project.
some-
I'm just saying that
Sure.
as a taxpayer, we're telling everybody we're buying 80 acres. And then.
And we've got no reason at all to
But I'm
believe
saying you're
it's any-
getting a professional telling us that we need to have the boundaries done. And you guys are big on boundaries. You guys are always harping at us on boundaries. So I think that's a legitimate request, and this is only me. I have no say at this. I think as a taxpayer and as a person, if we're gonna buy 80 acres, we've been recommended by the title company that we should have it surveyed to make sure that you're buying what you're buying. And now we're asking to waive that and the other things. All I'm saying.
Yep.
It's
And-
up to
and-
these five to make that decision.
In answer to that, I would say just as easily it could go the other way. It could be a few acres more.
Yeah.
This is this is a rectangle. This is not an oddball shaped parcel without clear land marks on the surface. This is not a case of looking for pins. This is following walls. Southern boundary, the southwestern corner, you see the property boundaries for even signs for other parcels right where they should be. Northern boundary, you see the stone wall and the drill hole in the stone right where it should be. So we could go through an effort and expense to do just as is suggested. And there's just as much reason to believe that it would be a couple acres more than it would be a couple acres less. And this is not a case where, I don't have a property card in front of me, maybe it's 80.5, maybe it's 85.5, but take that number. This is not a case where, we can look at that and say, well, shoot, that could be 80 or it could be 40. So I don't believe in answer to that concern, that there's a risk to town asset at all in that regard. There is, it's a case where Secretary, Vice Chair, and I walked the western boundary. We walked the southern boundary. I've walked the northern boundary. I know it well. Nice rectangle. It's been, in family possession for 100 years. So that issue was brought up, and it could very easily be a deal breaker. If we want to break the deal, there's a ready-made excuse. But this is, this is very high-quality conservation land in an area that is abutting, one of the abutters to it is pre-existing town property. Another abutter is a back lot. The southern abutter is the self-storage place up on North Stark. Their self-storage is built out to their boundary, which is clearly the boundary, the southern boundary of this parcel. I don't see the likelihood of any claim. 100% certainty sure, we do more work, we take more time on it. The great uncertainty in that is, you know, the seller goes to somebody else and says, you know, why 300, I'll get 400 for it, from somebody else who's stepped up, the market's hard.
Yeah.
These pieces are, you know, that's easily a, you know, 20 lot subdivision. You know, it,
I guess,
10, 15 anyways. I might roll back that 20, but it's a very significant piece of property that's, frankly, it's rare to have the opportunity to conserve such a strategically placed piece of the conservation puzzle. And you know, I would just request of each of you to consider whether that is in the town's interest or not. It's not something where we are, you know, working on, you know, our marginal situation. This is a nice piece, fundamental piece of property that can serve some of the greatest natural resources in town.
right, and I don't,
And I'd encourage anybody who's interested in landscape to get out, because you're gonna see some of the, out on that property, you're gonna see some of the best examples of a glaciated, post-glaciated landscape with eskers, with long ridges of sand and gravel that are 50, 60 feet high. These are tremendous resources. And while, you know, aggregate is sometimes a key commodity, sometimes it, you know, it's best to leave it in place and let it be a legacy of what created it, you know, the hand of God on the landscape. So, you know, two issues. The fundamental one is this appraisal. It's, you know, similar, actually smaller lot in town with similar frontage. You know, would price easily 2 or 3 times as high as the asking price on this one. It's clearly defined, you know, there's a southern boundary, there's a western boundary, there's a northern boundary. These are straight lines, not something sinuous or following some feature that can't be found. These are verified. So I'd like to move ahead and encourage the Board of Selectmen to, you know, approve moving to closing on this.
I as one member would be okay with waiving the appraisal due to current times. What doesn't set well with me, though, is the title company wants further action. And I want it to be as clear-cut on the books as possible. That would be, if our title company says that they want a survey, I would strongly think that we should do that. I would, like I said, I'd be in favor of waiving the appraisal due to current times, but just something wouldn't set well with me if we did not do that. And I could care less if it's 90 or 80 or either side. I could really care less, but I would want to make sure that all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, especially with the town purchasing land. I as one member. I don't know if any of the other members
Yeah, I
would like to speak.
agree with Ricky. As far as the market analysis, yeah, we can waive that. But as far as the surveying, I mean, this was, when Steve came in here before, the surveying part was brought up back then, about making sure this is a surveyed, these properties are surveyed. Were they surveyed? Well, we're in the process, and I mean, it never came out and said it is. And again, as Chairman Hipler said, we're the ones that are gonna have to approve spending the money for this, and we're gonna have to put it on the town books. You know, you don't go buy something anywhere out in the market without, unless you get some proof of it, and I'd like to see it surveyed, and to do that, I think, again, whatever we're paying for it, that we know exactly what we got, right, exactly where the boundaries are. If they have to set pins to set there to delineate those, then that's what has to be done, but I'd want it surveyed also.
Any other board members like to speak?
Andy, would there be any issue if you had a clause put in there saying that if it doesn't survey out for 80 acres and it comes in at 60, that, you know, you get some kind of a
Again, my thought was, is I really could care less. It's a nice parcel.
Right.
Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong.
2,000.
I'm in favor of the purchase.
Yep.
As the concept. But my thought is the lines. And I'm not doubting you that the lines are there and intact. But if legal title wants a survey, like I said, I could care less if it's 60, 80, 35 acres. I just want to make sure that it's all legit and it
Title company's saying it.
And, well, my concern is that puts us sort of back where we were 2 months ago, which is, all right, we're gonna say, let's look at the survey. Now we start talking with the surveyors and they say, you know, I'm out 4 months. You know, maybe I can get to you in, you know, before snow in the winter, maybe I can't. And, you know, I'm flat out, my prices are sky high, inflation's hitting, you know, that's gonna be 25 grand. And now we've got a other side of the coin. Are we really enhancing the value to the town by that amount? Because the seller's well within rights to say, all right, I can sell to somebody else, no biggie, good talking with you. And they can say, well, you eat the survey costs. I don't know how much it'll be. I doubt that it's gonna be a couple $100. I mean,
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
you know, we're talking lines that are north to south, getting pretty close to a half mile long. So I think it'll be easy work, you know, right there are their lines. But at some point, it could turn into that, well, all right, we have, you know, a 5% additional certainty on it now, and it's cost 30% more to get there. That's another part of the equation. And while, you know, we have decent resources, and we want to steward those well by protecting them with this added measure, it could also turn around the other way and they, you know, become a cost concern that blows the deal, or it just becomes too unwieldy in the give and take that is the real estate market to you know, get the 9 month or the 6 month window that it might take to bring on a reputable surveyor who's got the time to do it. So understand your side of the coin very well, but it may well mean the deal goes away, and you know that's just the reality of working in real estate.
Hear anything from the Johns?
Yeah, I agree with both Jack and Ricky that if the title company wants a survey, and in order to protect the citizens of the town of Ware, the taxpayers that are paying for it, I certainly agree we should have a survey of it. If it means losing it, so be it. But I think to protect the town, we need a survey.
Van?
I agree with what's already been said. I don't like the strong arm tactics that are happening, whether it's coming from conservation or the current homeowner or the landowner. We've been elected and we've been charged with taking care of the town's funds. And in doing so is making sure that if we elect to purchase this piece of property, we need to make damn sure exactly how much we're getting. This isn't a gentleman's handshake deal. This isn't a deal between you and me for a quarter of an acre or a lot line adjustment. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is many acres. I'm not even sure I'm for this project, but if we're going to do it, we need to make damn sure what it is we're getting. That's my opinion.
Okay. I think the board has spoken. I think we definitely want to see that survey, to follow with what the title company says. And we understand the ramifications that could cause, where you've made that point very clear. But I believe that the board wants the best interests to make sure it's on the legal. And I can understand the best interest thought would be, you know, the conservation of the land and the town that can use it. But again, we, like Selectman Van said, it's $300,000 we're spending, and we want to make sure that it's all 100% legit. That's, you know, and legal. That's what it comes back to, I believe, on the title side, is if we've hired an agent to do the title search and they're asking for this, then obviously there's a reason why they asked. That would be my thought. So, not just because the deed's old, but there must be a reason why they asked for it. And that would, again, I'm not a surveyor, I've only purchased one piece of land in my life, but that's what they do for a living. So to me, it would be, that's what they want, that's what we should abide by the town.
Just bear in mind, we've been assessing and taxing, on this accepted assumption between the town and the owner for lots of years. So, I hope that it's not an opportunity lost. If it is,
I do
like you
too.
say it is.
I hope it's not an opportunity lost as well.
And, we'll try to renegotiate with the seller. But I'd be lying if I didn't have a sinking feeling in my stomach on this one. But sometimes you just miss the rare opportunities, or maybe it works out. So I appreciate you considering. I do want to be clear that, this purchase is not using any funds generated by our town property taxes. We have commented that it's, we're protecting the taxpayers, absolutely. That's a very substantial concern, but, we're talking about expending town forest funds, and we're talking about expending conservation funds, neither of which generate a tax burden, an impact on anybody's property taxes in town.
But this does mean that the town is taking over a piece of property, and I want to know exactly how much we're taking. You can't tell me that.
I can tell you what we're assessing on, and I can tell you.
You can tell me what we're
we've been-
assessing on,
we've
but
been
we can't tell me how
accepting
much land there
We've been
is.
accepting that for a long time, and
But
expecting that.
this is going on in perpetuity. So I'd like an exact number, what we'd be getting.
Even if, somebody bought that as a private sale, the title company's gonna tell them, they're gonna get a survey one way or the other. So I mean, to turn around or not, either way, even if he goes to sell it in the open market, somebody's gonna ask for a survey on it. And especially if the title company's coming back looking for a survey, so there's something there that's triggering this. And I think we would be
That's
remiss.
perfectly what we were looking for.
We would be remiss if we didn't follow their recommendation.
Understand that position. This is, it's not a new piece of land. It's not something that is uncommon in the state of New Hampshire, to have old parcels that are core of a large parcel to be in this condition. I appreciate the board's, or I would request the board to vote to rescind the requirement for the appraisal. If that could be done tonight, that'd be fantastic. And well understand that there is no interest in proceeding without taking on a survey of the property, and we'll see where we can get with that. So,
Well, at least follow what the title company has requested. So, I have no problem. I'll move to waive the appraisal for the potential conservation purchase on North Stark. Is there a second? Okay, it fails, so they still want the appraisal. Is that what I'm gathering?
I want
that's
to
not
see,
the
I want to see what
conversation we
the,
just had.
I want to see what the boundaries are first before I make a decision whether I would void out the appraisal
I go
request.
along with that also.
Okay, there it is.
Thank you. Your time this evening.
Yep, thank you, Andy. Okay, you're all set.
Francistown.
Well, yeah, but department heads are still on department heads, so. Chief Moore?
So the first thing I have is a follow-up to the East Shore Drive, which you asked me to look into, citizen concern last board meeting. I watched the the tape, and there were 2 quotes by the citizen. Right now, they won't show up, and they said it's not a town road, it's a Class 5 road. So both of those are only partial factual. The first one's not factual. In 2021, we had 19 messages on East Shore Drive. All messages, police were notified and took the appropriate action. Of those messages, the majority were dog calls or fire calls. We had 4 motor vehicle complaints. I believe that was alluded to. One was a snow issue on February 20th. Corporal Muse responded to that. In his notes, East Shore Drive is a Class 6 road, not town maintained, which was quoted, but that was only partial. As it follows, town ordinance prohibits plowing of snow across the roadway to include Class 5 and Class 6 roads. So that kind of disputes what was being portrayed to you. Matter of fact, on that, I even wrote up a snow ordinance because I didn't think there was one, because under the town ordinance there isn't anything. I brought that to Naomi's attention, and she actually researched and found it pretty quick. Showed me here's what the fine was and everything, which I relayed to all my people. On August 9th, in regards to motor vehicle complaints, there was a 2-vehicle standoff where we actually had to go down there, make one guy back up so the other one could could get by and then let the other one pass. I believe that's what he was also referring to too, because one of them was a construction truck. I drove East Shore Drive. If we were going to enforce parking, it'd need to be well posted. It's not posted at all, but you can tell what's roadway and what's a private drive. When I was driving in there, I did notice one of the J&M towing authorized signs. We contacted J&M. They are authorized to tow from there any parking disputes if they're notified from the association president. They do not have any rules for parking down there. They would have to get those first. We had 0 complaints of those 19 for any type of narcotic activity. We had 0 complaints for any noise activity. So they have to let us know. Citizens have to let us know if something's going on. And this is kind of what I got to, I didn't know where the complaint originally coming from, but, we always try to look for facts, Right now, who's the they, won't show up. Because if we can identify the they, obviously we have body-worn cameras, we can review exactly what was said, who said it, and what was done in those instances. But the best case, if, somebody needs something from the police department, just contact us. If we don't resolve it, then go to you guys. It doesn't seem like that was the case here. So that's all I had about East Shore Drive, unless you guys have anything else.
I have nothing else.
Okay. On to the MDT. We'd previously discussed this, which is the computer we have in the car. We were waiting until October 1st to see what kind of deal we were going to get from ProPC, because we were looking at getting a beta test, which means we could have bought 2 for the price of 1, which is great. They moved that back by several months, so we're going to move forward to put, and this is just to reiterate and I'm only bringing this up because we got a different quote than what I told you before. It's much less if we did want to go with something new. To move the computer from 1 to 6 is about $900. We got the quote, it's $45.28. I quoted you $6,100 before. So if you take the difference between the $900 and the $45.28, $3,600, and the current computer in one has 2 years left on it. So I don't know if we want to reassess that. I did talk to Beth. I'm going to have over $100,000 in my budget again this year.
Why is it $900 to move a computer from one vehicle?
Taking it out of one, $450, putting it in the other one, $450.
Is there any new equipment being purchased, new
No,
stands?
so
any
we're
new
reusing the
wires?
stand.
Reusing the stand.
Yep. Stand will fit in the Tahoe, according to what they told us.
And the charger cable, is that,
That's extra. I didn't bring the quote with me. I think it was $79, roughly,
okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
seems expensive, okay.
So I didn't know if we wanted to readdress that, or otherwise I'll just move forward with taking it out of one and putting it in 6. But we're gonna get about 2 years on that one.
Is it in your maintenance budget? Or what line would you propose to take it out of?
It would be close in my maintenance budget just because we're still looking at tires. We haven't switched tires over yet, so I got to see how many we have to do on that. That's about the only thing I have left to do on my budget, and I have probably enough to cover that. As long as nothing comes up, I should have enough to cover that in my maintenance. But like I said, overall in my budget, I'm over $100,000 left, according to our finance director.
I've always said that if it's within the budget, if it's within their budget, it's theirs to do with as they please. Not purchasing any new equipment, you're just moving equipment, so that's my opinion.
So what's the final cost gonna be, 900? Just to
No, no,
move
no.
it?
So it would be, if we just moved it from
Yeah,
one to the
just-
other,
just move it.
900.
Yeah.
If we bought a new one with installation is 4528. So the difference between, and if you take the 900 away, because we were gonna spend 900 regardless, the extra cost is about $3,600. 3628, roughly.
And that'd be 5 years.
Yeah, that puts us right back. Those, according to Goffstown, they have a life cycle of 5 years. And we stay on track with Goffstown because they service our MDTs, which is supposed to go in our contract next time they negotiate.
I would think it would be better to buy new and get 5 instead of
Moving
spending 9 and get 2. That's my opinion.
Rest of the board?
I agree with John.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Here's your answer.
Okay, make it happen. Thank you. And then the last thing is just with the detailed rate. I had the finance director, like we talked about, pull up the rate. All the numbers match exactly between the old system and the new system. There are a couple differences when she actually looked at that. Anybody else want a copy? So, one of the differences between what I told you last time and what I told you this time. So, under the old system, out of that hourly rate, $46.38, the employee has to contribute $5.36 toward the New Hampshire retirement system. We carried that same amount under the new system. So, if a new system officer were to contribute to a 457 plan, out of their 4638, they would also have to contribute $5.36, and then the vendor pays $15.71, which is the same rate as the old retirement system. There's a payroll tax on both of 59 cents and a processing fee on both of 76 cents. So the actual hourly rate, once all the fees and 457 for an officer, is actually $40.43, and that's consistent between the new and the old if we do go with this way. And I hope that answers all of your questions.
Any questions for the board?
Pretty straightforward.
Jack?
Looks pretty forward.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
It looks perfect.
I did talk to both the union president and vice president. There are no issues with those distributions as far as 457 is concerned.
All right.
Requires a motion, does it
I was
not?
gonna say, probably needs a motion.
Make a motion, we
Adopt the finance director's recommendation how the funds are dispersed.
No, I would say that the proper way to do it is to up the rate to the vendor
Well, we did that.
to 63.44. The rest of it has to be distributed by the finance director, and I think that's within her
Okay.
ballpark, not for us to make a motion on.
Yeah, a couple of meetings ago, you guys raised it to 63.51. She found it in, it's already done, record, you voted on it, it's good to go. And we did that because the retirement
sounds right.
system changed rates and the town was
right.
actually
The only-
using
the
Bring
only
it
it.
back to 63.44.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I don't know the
We have
exact
to
number.
amend it to 63.44, if that's
That's
what
what
she's
you
going
got.
for, right?
It's fine, yep.
Okay. So who's
Talk
there
to
making a
Dennis.
motion?
Yeah, but now I gotta
We're gonna
research.
pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pause. Unless somebody else wants to make a motion, I want to research that because Jack brought up a good point. I want to make sure we're quoting the right number. Move on to
I
anything
thought
else.
that's what we decided on though.
It was what, 63?
51 sounds familiar.
63.
I just want to verify we're doing the right numbers here.
Because you charge the vendor that, just sometimes you'll charge that vendor the extra pennies, and they're gonna come screaming that it was unfair.
There you go. 5351.
Ta-da.
5351, so,
Okay,
All right,
so
so,
this needs to be modified then,
yep.
yeah, it needs to be
I think
revamped.
that's all we have to do.
so.
Yeah, but if those numbers don't add up, then what is the,
Well, then we'll be
Where's the
back here,
error?
then we'll be back here again.
where's the error?
Again, it's the taxpayer money.
Can we still make a motion with the correct amended numbers?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Okay, just so we can finally put this thing to bed for these guys.
Yep.
All right. How are we gonna word this? Because I'm not sure how to properly word this motion.
We make the vendors, a motion to make the vendors rate for the details for the police department at 63.44.
44.
I
At
thought
that
we were
time,
doing-
amending it from the earlier one of 63.51.
Okay, so we're changing the vendor rate instead of
Right.
this.
We're not changing anything else but the vendor rate. That's the only thing that's getting changed. The rest of the
Yeah, but-
dispersion is walked out, a lot of it's worked out by law and worked out by the other stuff.
We have not had any details since that 6351 was voted in, correct?
Oh, yeah, they just worked the Bow Power Plant.
Okay.
But the problem is, I think, though, is because yes, we do need to change the bottom line number, but we also need to change the where that 1571 goes, because right now it's going into a fund, and that's the way we've had it set up.
Well, and
Here.
they can do that, but I don't think, this disbursement is laid out here. And that's for Beth to work out with these guys, because that's the turnaround. They have to fill out paperwork just like you would a W-2 or W-4.
I just think
Right.
this needs to be modified to the current number of 6351
That's-
that we voted on already.
To 63.44, not 60.
6351 we voted on.
51 we
Right,
voted
so
on.
you want to put it back to what she said is 63.44, or you want to carry it so there's extra money?
I want
Where's
to,
the extra 4 cents going an hour?
that's
I mean,
for Beth to modify this to,
7 cents.
7
7
cents.
cents, rather.
Yeah,
that's for Beth and the chief to rework this number.
right.
That's my opinion.
I think these were reworked today, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
This was
this
reworked today.
yeah, it should
So
be
then why did
difference
we
that-
go down? We voted on a different
The
number.
payroll tax
Yeah,
you
you went up
looked
to
at the
7
first
cents
time
above.
was 67 cents, and it's 59 cents.
So it went down?
So the first time was an error, or is this the error?
First
I
time was
don't
here.
call anything an error, it's just new
I forget what
information.
she said. She told me what she did. I don't recall off the top of my head. Payroll.
But we voted on a different number.
Correct. 6351 you
Right, and
approved.
of which the payroll
Originally,
tax at
yeah.
that time was 67 cents,
So we'll be changing it again.
No,
and the payroll tax is 59 cents.
Yeah, we'll be changing that bottom line number again with this vote
So it'll be less payroll tax.
to be reflective of
So
that
that's-
number.
That's correct.
So that number was only good for 3 weeks.
Yep. It was.
What's the union have to say about this
We
discussion?
won't grieve anything that has to do with 7 cents. I'll put it that way. I'll donate the money if the town really needs the
We need 7 cents.
$1.
Hand it over. All right. I just want to make sure, because again, this is, the current over here says that non-vested officers don't get that 1571, regardless.
It goes into a
But I think,
457, which is instead of the retirement, it's
We'll
their
go
own
into-
retirement.
but I
That's right.
think that in the motion, it needs to be reflected that that's what's going to happen with it now. Because right now, it's going into an account for the town. So I think the motion needs to be
It's to
formed that,
include-
yes,
yeah.
the bottom line number is the 6344,
Okay.
but
the new
But-
Would that
offices.
need two different motions? One to change the vendor rate, and then one to where to apply it?
I don't see why we couldn't.
I don't see it would. I don't think it would.
I think you're fine to do that. All right, so I'll make a motion that we change the vendor rate to 6344 an hour,
Effective immediately?
effective immediately.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
done. Next.
So, I'll move that we adopt the, proposal on this document handed to us by the chief for the existing New Hampshire Retirement System officers chart and to utilize the new New Hampshire retirement system for officers hired under the new guidelines per this document,
Part of it's per state law, so.
to utilize the 457B.
Frank?
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I got 3 very short non-publics at the very end. Very short.
Whoa, we like short.
Very
Where are we
minutes.
at with the whole FirstNet thing? Because I heard, I was talking with Brandon, you guys were testing it, now all of a sudden it's radio silence. What's going on with that?
So, can I talk on that?
Yeah, because I don't know.
Podium, that's all we
I
asked.
heard it was working.
Yes, they installed it. It is working. It is live. We found out a couple of things, like if we change the base unit at the station, it doesn't go out because it changes it. So I happened to be on a call. The radio wasn't getting out, so I grabbed the phone to use it, and somebody had changed the base unit at the station to be on Troop D. So they heard me loud and clear.
On Troop D?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well,
we
that's probably a
made
problem.
appropriate corrective actions on that, so that will not happen again.
Okay.
So we've been in contact with them, that they came and tested it again last week. We're noticing significant value in it, and it was not scratchy comparative. With that being said, obviously, I know you and I have had conversations moving forward. If we notice the squelch, we're going to be looking at possibly changing the base radio at the station with a newer model radio that we have in inventory from a cruiser. So instead of a 30-year-old radio, we'll go to a 20-year-old radio. See if that-
How is the current audio quality then? Is it working similar to your regular radio, quality-wise?
Quality-wise, if I have no service on my radio, I can get signal on the FirstNet.
Okay.
So it's a huge,
And it's readable to 100.
yes,
Okay.
95% of the time. So it's
That's-
much better than where we were 2 months ago.
That's
So we're
exactly
taking
what I
steps in the
wanted.
right direction.
That's what we like to hear.
And just to let you know, I was in Portsmouth at the Seafood Festival and actually turned mine on and I could hear everything.
Absolutely. I was up
So,
in Maine,
That's kind of neat.
4 hours away, and I could hear everything clear as day.
That's good.
That's what, I mean, we just want updates, because obviously it's a topic that we've been discussing very often. It's very, again, because of the monetary side, it's a little hard for us to move, but something as FirstNet has brought forth, this whole plan's kind of come together, and I just, obviously John Van and I have talked extensive with it, but we just want to see the plan come together, that's all.
No, absolutely. It's a good Band-Aid for the radio infrastructure that hopefully someday.
Best Band-Aid we've had so far.
That is true.
Like I say, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
And the next Band-Aid is we're trying to get the card in for the hotspot into the Tahoe. So hopefully that'll extend our range with the Tahoe running, because we can link straight in from our phone to the Tahoe.
Yeah.
Which should go out through the radio.
Wow.
We just got the chip in last week, I believe, so we gotta get that chip installed, but allegedly it will increase our Wi-Fi capabilities by, 100% or some
we're just-
crazy number.
And we're just testing it in the Tahoe?
Yes.
Okay.
If it works.
Game on.
Yeah.
Across the
Okay.
fleet. Okay.
All right. Awesome. That's
Thank
what we
you,
like to hear.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Finally, some good news on the communication side.
I gotta say, yeah, not all bad news occasionally. All right, anything else from department heads? Nope, okay. We'll move on to the 478 Old Francistown Road discussion. Continuation, I should say.
Welcome back.
Yes. In 2013, they tore up Old Francistown Road and found a drainage pipe that ran from 483 across under the road and ended on my property. Whoever was tearing it up at the time, assumed this to be a drainage pipe for the road. It was not. It's a septic pipe. It's mentioned in my deed at the time as an encumbrance. I think that's the word. Yep. Mentioned on my deed as an encumbrance that the property owner of 483 maintains the right to maintain an open cesspool, a septic tank on my property. When they tore up the road, assuming it was a road drain pipe, they put a brand new drain in, which dumps onto my property about a third of the way down my property line. When they installed it, I can only assume that it was not installed 100% correctly because I don't believe it ever caught all the water.
This isn't illegal.
When they resurfaced, July 16th of this year,
we went back and forth, me and Benji, about whether they changed the pitch on the road or the grade of the road. But I maintain that you cannot add 2 or 4 layers of material around a hole in the road and not change the pitch into that hole. It's just impossible. You can't add layers around the outside of it without changing the pitch into it. For whatever reason, on July 18th, we had 1.5 inches of rain. I don't know if you can put pictures on anything now, or?
Do you have a thumb drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just go to this one for a minute.
That's my lot,
This one
and
here?
that's where the drain is, and where it empties onto my property. If you do select pictures, there's a folder in there with select pictures in it.
Let's see if we can make magic.
Ricky Anderson.
Excuse me.
The magic? It's small, but,
Oh, that's just the corner, just sawing it right after they regraded the road. We were told that they are not changing the height of the road at all, and I've read online that once a road height is set, it shouldn't be changed. You can rebuild the crest of it, but the edges height should not be changed.
let me try to change the
And
TV.
they raised it about a foot in my front yard, the road height. That's the same corner of my yard right there. These are just 2 pictures, but you can go advance through them. That shows the basic water flow. Right now, I'm taking everything from the first 1/10 of a mile of Old Francistown on the west side of the road, and it's being trespassed by way of that drainage pipe into my property, about 1/3 of the way down my property line, which then turns and goes directly into my garden area. And from there, it spreads over my backyard, and my backyard has not dried out since that date. That's what it looks like, a muddy mess. It
And we
flows-
never had that drainage ditch that ran all the way, we had actually
No,
put
we went
that
through
in
and tried to
because-
save the garden and dig ditches and try and drain it off, but
Yeah,
my backyard's a muddy mess. I can't even go into it. I can't let kids play in it. I can't let grandkids play in it. It's just,
nothing, no. That's when,
that's the entrance where the water entered our garden
at the very
on
first.
on the 18th. That picture was taken. That's showing where it flooded through our garden. And I know there was a lot of rain in July, but our garden was doing fairly well at that point.
Pictures indicate that they were
That's-
thriving well.
Where it flows out of the garden, you can see the plants are doing fairly well, even though we had 7 inches of rain early July. That's the drain that was installed, and I'm assuming it got built up when they resurfaced the road. These are 2 pictures from
And that's the
Google
picture
Street
of,
View images where the
picture of
drain
her
is right in front of the
after
mailbox. I know it's hard to see on there, but
the rain had drained, once it had flooded the whole garden,
that's 2 weeks after the 18th.
yeah, it's,
Everything's just dying off. That, you can see an oily slick flowing through there, and we had some, from her reading on the internet, that's some sort of bacteria that developed.
yeah.
The amount of oil that came through the garden, we didn't dare to eat anything out of it. We just basically abandoned it after that date. That's showing where the
Drainage.
drainage is, located on the road right in front of 483 Old Francistown. And those are from Google Street View images showing, it's hard to see because it's in the shade, but there is no drain there at all.
Yeah,
It historically and traditionally had flowed down the west side along the side of the road, and there is a drain about 400 feet down the road.
Naomi,
Crosses over.
what's the date down there, lower center?
2009.
It is August
2009.
20.
That's
Yeah.
Street
Thank
View,
you.
2009. That's the picture you just looked at, but
yeah.
a little
the
bit easier to
correction.
see in
Yeah.
that than it is.
Yeah.
There's another road drain about 400 feet down that runs as it should down a property line through an existing
I
culvert.
believe so.
There is no existing culvert on my property at all. There never was. And historically, it's always gone down the west side of the road, down to the culvert that's 400 feet down further to the road.
And the culvert is still there, 400 feet down the road from us. It still remains, which is the natural where it was before.
Everything I read online, such as this, drainage from state highways, the highway in question can discharge runoff onto private property as long as it, A, 1, does not discharge water into a residential yard, and 2, causes the minimal amount of damage. This destroyed my garden. I had 5 months' worth of work into my garden at that point, and within 2 weeks, my garden was dead. I didn't dare to eat anything out of it. There was so much oil on the surface that I didn't dare to eat anything.
Did you have an issue last year or the year before with your garden?
No, I said the resurfacing had something to do with redirecting. I can only assume that it went behind the drain at the time. After they put it in, I'm assuming that it went behind it, because I never got 25% of the water that I got 2 days after they resurfaced the road this time.
What kind of height are we talking with the resurfacing?
It's 3/8 rock chip, so 3/8 thick.
Yeah, but they double chipped on that part.
For some reason, I didn't concern myself with it before because it did not flood my property that much. As soon as it did, I got on the horn and sent out emails and tried to figure out what was going on.
Now, Benji, I just got a question. So, 2009 is obviously before it was redone as a whole. But to me, right across from that mailbox, it looks like the road is depressed. Like maybe that culvert had collapsed. Is that viable? I just looking at it,
There
looks,
was never a culvert.
but it looks like there's a
There was a
crack.
pipe.
There's a
The crack?
depression in the road that goes
pipe.
down.
The pipe was under the road. The
With a rock.
addendum on my deed is dated 1946.
Right. So that's probably why it's
It's been
collapsed.
there quite a-
It's
it was-
collapsed.
He
Yeah.
said when he dug it out, it was rotted. It was a
Right.
rotted old pipe.
Yeah,
Which would make sense, because obviously that's what, it just looks like, so there was something existing there.
But it
Whether
was
it was legal or
septic.
not, there was something existing
It
there.
was septic.
Right,
It was
right.
not a road drain.
yeah.
It was septic?
It was a
So now
septic line.
you're all right with a septic?
No, it
No.
was
It
from
was
way
non-existing.
back.
The pipe was dead-ended on my side of the road.
Right.
It was still listed in my deed, but the pipe ran from 483 out to the road and under the road and was dead-ended on my side of the
And
road.
they had taken a bunch of rocks and they had closed it off. So it was all closed off with a lot of rocks, so that when nobody would go in it or get hurt, they had it.
Benji, when you were there when they dug it out in 2013, do you remember what kind of pipe it was?
It was an old galvanized pipe.
Uh,
And
Oh.
I'll let these folks
Remember how big it was?
talk. No, I just got a couple things to add, and
Okay.
it will be done. I think we went in circles on this, I just I want to give them their chance, and
Okay.
then I'd like to take a chance, and they're good,
And there's a cesspool off where it used to drain into, off in the corner of our property, off to the left. There is a cesspool rocked-in area where.
On the northeast corner of my property, I sent you an email earlier showing a picture of it. It's mostly filled in with brush and fallen trees now, but
Yeah.
that cesspool is located in the northeast corner of my property.
If I remember correctly, last time you were here, your request is to just cap off that pipe, is that correct?
I want it so it doesn't drain onto my property anymore. I don't want someone to come along 20 years from now and find a pipe in the road and say, oh, there's a drain here. There was never a drain. You can see there's no drain in front of the mailbox there. It didn't exist, and I got 30 years into that garden, working on it, trying to get it up to the point it was at. For whatever reason, it didn't drain through there before. Right after they resurfaced the road, it does. And it literally, there should be a picture in there, in select pictures.
That's the
Well,
one I use.
literally, that's, well, the first picture of the garden, that was literally 2 days right there.
Oh, sorry.
That's 2 days after.
Well, no, that,
That's the 18th,
right, and then.
July 18th.
And then the one at the end where the garden is just dead is 2 weeks later.
That's 2 weeks after.
Which way, this way?
No, yeah,
I'm not even sure which way it is, but when it
No,
looks
the
pretty dead
opposite
in the garden, that's where it is. I cannot operate a garden, and I've done it for 30 years. I've had that garden going.
yeah, and it just,
There's another
I
picture in
lost
there of
everything.
prior years' garden. There's a folder with prior years' gardens in that. You have to close that folder out. Garden pictures prior to, yeah, and those are just all different years. I've taken a picture for the last 5 years. We've been planning on moving, preparing to move for a while now.
In the garden.
So I
we've
take a
never
picture of the
had
garden, so I've got them for
problems.
the real estate agents if they want to see what it looks like. And you can see it's slightly wetter on the far side of the garden. That's where it enters, where the darker soil is. But it was never enough of a problem to concern myself with.
What's to the left of the garden? Yeah. What is that?
Septic system?
Oh, that's my leach field.
Leach
Soil
field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some years it grows, some years it doesn't. This year it's doing great because we had so much
But it's
water.
always grown, we've never had a problem, I've always had a lush garden.
That, I believe, is from 2016. But we've had a garden for 30 years, and that's as wet as it's gotten in prior years. It's just that dampness on the far side of it.
But it's always dried out, that's just early spring.
And I don't feel the town has a right to take my property. It's just,
The board have any questions to this point?
I don't have anything.
That one?
you
Yeah,
can,
just wait my turn.
you can scroll up, I don't know if you can scroll and enlarge that a little bit, but, yeah.
Look at
That's
that.
the exact same position,
The difference in the road.
2013, and that picture was taken just about 2009. Kids going off to the first day of school, so.
Okay. All right, does the board have any questions as of right now?
No.
All right, anything else to add? Okay,
I don't believe so, it's just,
recognize Director Knapp then.
Well, they said last meeting, I think you were gone, maybe not here to be disrespectful. I'm not these folks at their home. We had a nice conversation, we parted ways, agreeing to disagree that day, and bring it forth to you. I think that the outcome of this is gonna, you guys are gonna vote a certain way, and I'll do what you tell me to do. Kind of been made out to be a villain on this deal, and I feel the obligation to myself to stick up for myself just a little. So we'll start with this picture. First and foremost, if you rebuild a road, you build it up to get better drainage. These old roads, especially New England, but anywhere. I travel every year from here all the way to the west coast to build roads up. This obviously is right after paving, shoulders or nothing else has been done. There should have been loam, because it's in front of a yard, loamed in and grassed in a little better than it was. I spoke to him about that. That has nothing to do with the current drainage. Is there any way we could go to the picture of the water coming into the garden?
Maybe.
I think if you click the bottom corner where the two arrows look at each other, there you go.
So, oh, yeah, just go back one
The
more,
map.
sorry, Naomi. That is what I said. So, this is the current drain right here. That was the septic line. There was or wasn't, I don't know if that line, yes, there was a line deeded to their property. They showed me that, I believe, 100%. The cesspool is in this neighborhood somewhere.
no, it's further up to your right. It's actually passed off that, way up in the top.
So it's way up here. So,
How's that?
that means that line would have ran uphill all the way up there.
No, it's downhill.
No, it's downhill.
It's
It isn't,
downhill.
because this road runs downhill to here, because you're telling me you're getting water all the way from
But
one forty-nine.
our land goes downhill from
Correct, but
there.
if this was the septic line, this line would have to run at a diagonal back up grade
To
to
the
that
cesspool.
cesspool.
Yeah.
No,
My argument is that that line that we dug up, whether there was a hole on that side or not, was not the septic line. The septic line must still be in there somewhere. Because that line runs exactly across, just like he has the arrows drawn, our culvert now, our current culvert. And the cesspool is way up here out of the picture.
Our slope from north to south is not that drastic. Our slope runs from west
It
to
runs-
east.
And it runs down from the road because the rock wall is out, and if you look, everything is
That map is
downhill.
just about north-south, north.
Can we go to the water in there in the garden? Please. Right there. So it was wet today, I went to, not this bad. My argument all along with the garden is, or with the water issue, is it's the wettest July we've ever had. And in the August, in September, and it's rained all day, nothing but rain today. In history, since I've been keeping records since 1850. Again, I think the conversation, the culvert's gonna be the same, so I don't wanna waste everybody's time all night. But a record amount of rain has to account for something. I too have a big garden every year, and the only thing that even did remotely okay was my watermelons, which I don't like anyway, I don't like them. My squash and my cucumbers, things that usually like water, died about the 1st of August, which was their time frame. But this water here, there was standing water there, not that bad, but when I went, and it's hard to tell by the picture, but it was crystal, this is entering the garden, okay? And it runs up and then back out. That water was crystal clear, entering the garden. That brown stuff is not, I don't know what it is. But it was not oil from the road, or it would be oily here and here and here. It's only brown down here.
Now, there's oily sheen all over my yard.
There was not oil in there I went. So,
No, but
What
that-
right do you claim to run water onto my property?
I gave you guys your
That's
chance
the
to
bottom
talk, so.
line. We're just asking to
I'm
have.
asking.
I know you are, I just said that I'm defending myself for what was,
I
of
know,
this
but we're
letting
just
them.
asking that.
I bought the property.
Oh, folks,
I pay the tax.
folks,
let's-
please let
all
him, he afforded you plenty of opportunity to speak, allow him to,
Yeah,
please.
keep it
So
orderly.
if you just go to one last picture, accident, and then that's where it comes back out. And that's where it
It
turns.
comes out there and on the end also. The garden's flat level. It flows all out, all going.
That's exiting. That didn't look like that entering. Again, it's not gonna affect the drain issue, but I'm sticking up for our road work, because that was at the beginning of the garden.
Was
You
clear.
have me, but that's at the end. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
There's other folders in there with pictures of the garden also.
Is that still there, folks?
Yeah.
It is.
My garden hasn't dried out since.
But that
That sheen is still there?
substance is still there?
Yep.
Would we be able to send that out to get tested, see what it actually is?
Is there such a test?
Send it
I've got
down,
soil.
Well, water, I mean,
Eastern Analytical.
Yeah,
Take it down
water
there, they
test.
test for water
I've got
system.
a-
They test for, yeah, they could test
Do
for
this all
petroleum.
over the
I've
country,
got a
and if
water
it was,
sample
if
from-
it was damaging, you know, the top, the chip is stuck to the road by an emulsion, the same emulsion that you stick 2 layers of pavement together with. Tack, we call it. The chip is treated so it's not dusty. It's kind of a new thing, I guess they do, because people complain about the dust with cooking. So if there was any sheen coming off, be that, but it wouldn't be the emulsion, or the chip wouldn't be stuck to
There's
the
another
road. We
folder.
put in the the layer chip, the areas that were depressed, they did a double chip.
And that's a total thickness of what, maybe 3/4 of an inch?
3/8.
Is it three?
3/8
No,
times.
well,
Double
they said they
3/8,
double in
but-
front of their house,
3/8
so,
I
times
don't
two.
know if they dumped from their house or not. You left that to their
Discretion.
discretion.
Potentially-
Where there was
potentially up-
more contour into the road was down.
So
Real
potential,
bad was down
Is that
around the
like
power
bubbles?
lines, down past
Boiling water?
Dearborn Road.
There's another
Well,
full-
the argument here is should the drain stay or shouldn't stay? So I argue all day long about, why the
No, I
tomatoes
just-
died, I guess.
Looked
But
like
I just
bubbles.
wanna, there's gotta be some sort of thought that the excessive amount of rain had a little bit to do with the garden being wet. It isn't all highway's fault.
I cannot use my garden right now. I can't plant anything in there.
we
This stuff is gonna run off. The oil is gonna stay on the surface and mostly it's gonna run off in the swamp down behind.
My garden's been done since August.
so if we were to
Yeah,
plug the drain,
yeah,
plug the culvert,
yeah.
where would the water go then?
And then the next,
400 feet down the road to the next one.
I went up there yesterday afternoon,
Where
drove
is-
up there.
Down by Blue
I
Shack.
stopped at
Sir,
that,
folks, please.
I stopped at that catch basin, and I drove down south. Just about 350 feet, I saw a crossover pipe. So I stopped, got out, looked at the inlet in, looked at the outlet in. There's a very well-defined ditch about 2/3 of the way back to their house, and then the other third, there is no defined ditch. So that's where the water would go if we blocked this off. But Benji would have to go up and, from the catch basin to wherever that defined ditch comes in, he'd have to go in and
Define.
define the ditch.
I mean, there's no, you put culverts in where the water wants to run, right? There's no such thing as they go on a certain line or property line. I mean, property lines change every time someone sells property, I mean, we put a culvert on a property line on your 20 acres, I've got it, just picking on, first one to look at, right? You could sell it, subdivide, and have 2 property lines now. It's not a thing. For millions of years, water ran from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, and then people came along and we put roads in, and you have to let the water through. It isn't something that we maliciously do to aggravate your neighbor. I have a couple that run onto mine, not much you can do about it. If it comes to this like this, we gotta block up, we'll just give it to a different one.
I purchased my property with no drain on it. I intend to sell it that way.
We're not asking for any more, we just want.
We want to be left alone, basically.
I just want to be able to have the garden in there and be able to continue to grow like we had in the past and not have it flooding out. And right now, it's just a flooding mess. And, I mean, I can't even walk back in my backyard without wearing rubber boots because it's a disaster.
There's another folder in there that says
I'm
garden
not
after road
asking.
resurfacing or something like that. Which is all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess we only take, it was stated that this year was the first year that it.
No, just open up that, go back, go that 478 Old French.
I've had good gardens and bad gardens, and
Should be one of those.
I don't know if it really makes a difference.
For what?
Well, I just,
I guess, I don't want to be disrespectful. 5 months into the garden in July, would have started it in February. It wasn't all the highway's
the
fault.
flooded yard and garden pictures will be the one that's got all the
Looks like C.
oil pictures. You can change the view so you can see the pictures. Yeah,
That's where it drains down to the yard.
that's the exit of the pipe.
The pipe is up on that end and it runs down to our yard.
Just where it runs through the woods. And where it runs down the path through the woods.
And it runs, that's the pathway it takes down through the yard from the woods, through our yard, down the hill towards the garden, into that corner of the garden and through.
That's the one you've already seen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've already seen.
What's the rough distance between the end of the pipe, which is in the ditch on the town side of the stone wall, correct?
Well, there isn't really a ditch because it drops off.
Well, but it's right, it's still on the town end of the road, and to the garden, what's the rough distance?
I don't know. It comes out of the pipe and takes a hard right.
Goes a ways,
Runs a ways.
and then goes onto the property, okay?
I want my yard back. I don't think the town has any right to flood my yard. It goes in a third of the way down my property and then runs right through the middle of my backyard. I don't know where the town gets that right to take over my property. They don't pay taxes on it, I do. If you want property, there's ways to get it, for the town to get it. Eminent domain, you can get a right of way through it or an easement.
That's the end of that. That's the end of that folder.
Okay.
You done?
I have no, I've seen them.
Yeah, I've nothing else I want to see.
No. All right. I personally have not gone down and seen it yet. But I guess I'll, you said you've been down there, took a look.
Went down yesterday, I went down 2 weeks ago and looked at it, went to the outlet end of it, and it looked like, where it went down, and they've got a little roadway that goes up in through, and it looked like it originally went across that down through, but I think that little roadway they've got kind of diverts a little bit of the water, but there is a pipe just down the road a little ways that they'll
That's
find it,
historically how it's always run, it's down the west side of the
you
road.
know.
So you trespass this water from the west side of the road into my property on the east side of the road.
My main concern is if we block it off,
Like,
hopefully that road is crowned enough so that the water will stay on the west side of the road and not go on the east side of the road down into his driveway. That's a possibility. I don't know if, I'm not an engineer, I can't sit there and say, yeah, the road goes like this.
Potentially in 2013, the pipe that was there was collapsed and not allowing water through anyway.
Right.
But we don't know if that was the septic pipe or if that was a replaced galvanized pipe from 1970. We don't know.
Or it could have been an old stone culvert.
Yeah.
Once
way
upon a
back
time.
yonder.
Yeah.
I've dug up many a stone culvert in this town.
So
It's just,
2013, is that when the structure went in with this? Yeah. Okay, so that storm drain or manhole that you got there with the, went into 2013? Yeah, the way you did, okay.
I'm just trying to regain
it's
control
pretty
of the
obvious
property.
these folks aren't gonna be happy unless we actually just plug that thing.
Right.
And what, I mean, I can't say for sure, I'm not an engineer, why it's happening. I know this has been the wettest summer. My yard is still wet from July. There's nothing I can do with it, but that's just nature of my particular property. These folks want it capped off. That's the only thing that's gonna make them happy. I say we cap it off, but we're not admitting that we caused the problem. We recognize there is a problem. Landowners, they want it capped. My opinion.
Jack, Sherry?
I understand their dilemma. I understand I also have a problem with the water runoff, and my side yard has been soaked since end of June.
You're welcome.
You know, but not on your side, on the other side.
Oh,
And I can't do anything with it. But, it has been the rainiest July in recorded history. And I understand that too. But I think the thing is my concern is if we plug the culvert, you're gonna have to plug that structure so there's no water goes in it, because if it goes in there and fills up, it's gonna go one or two places. It's gonna go around that pipe and undermine the road. It's gonna follow that path. So we have to weigh that into account, so, I don't know, I really don't know what the answer is. Like you said, you plug it, but I guess the thing to do is if we plug it, then we have the codicil that if there's a problem, we'll open it back up again. If there's a problem, then it's gonna undermine the roadway. Because of that fact, then the road's gonna wash out and
I have an
nobody's
acre and a
gonna
half.
get to.
This comes a third of the way down my property and it turns into
I
the middle of
understand,
my property.
I understand that, sir,
You're
but I
taking
mean,
half my property away from me.
we didn't,
You're taking over.
nature did because of the
No,
rain.
no, you diverted it. You trespassed that water onto my property. That's what it's called.
Been there since 2013.
Can I ask a question? So this road was upgraded in 2013, and you've not had a problem until this year, correct?
Until they put on the chip coat, and the chip, or something,
Once
I
they
don't.
put on the chip coat, increase the amount of water substantially. I don't,
How would that happen?
it's raised up and increased the pitch into that hole.
It's like a whirlpool now, when it comes down the road, it's just a whirlpool. It comes down, and it hits that drainage, and that top, everything collects. The road wasn't that, there was dirt on each side. When they put the chip coat on, they extended the chip coat out further. There's really not a lot of dirt left on either side of the road anymore. So there's no place for that water to run. It just is like a whirlpool. It comes down the road and it just whirlpools and goes straight down into that drainage and out into our property. You can see all the rocks, all the chip coat that's in one of those pictures that we had up there is in there. It shows that it drained from the road down into and onto our property. All that sand, I've got, that used to be a ditch there, at least 2 to 3 foot ditch that they dug into our property underneath that drainage, and that is now totally filled up, and it just totally just continues to drain and fill up. It never empties now, it just, I get more and more sand.
Every half inch of rain we get now, depending on how quickly it falls, floods right down the hill, right down through the woods and right into my garden. It's been standing water in there with every rainstorm
Yeah,
since they did the chip coat.
I get garbage from the road down there.
I can't grow anything in there. It's getting salt off. Every spring there'll be salt run off straight into my garden, and nothing will grow in there. It's a violation of the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. It's taking the property for public use without compensation. This is for public use. You're using my property for the public's use. I take all the water from the center line of the road on my side. That's mine. I claim it. The water from the west side of the road is not mine. It should be diverted down the road where it historically always run, down to that culvert 400 feet down. And then it goes across the road between property lines in an existing culvert where it goes out to the swamp out behind. Well, there's a seasonal stream that runs out behind. I don't want to call it a swamp, but
And that one's been,
I just want to use my property.
Would diverting or plugging this cause any DES issues? I think we need to get that answered.
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so, but
It's
it's a
groundwater,
good question.
rainwater, it's runoff, it's not,
Well, if
not a
these folks are
septic
calling
system.
it a swamp, I just want to make sure that we're not running into a DES
no, I
nightmare if
wouldn't
we
say
do
so.
this.
If the water's been draining out of
It's
it all.
gone into it.
It is
The next
eventually
pipe
down by the
down
horse
is
farm.
all
It's a swamp.
taking the water into the swamp.
It's basically a seasonal stream out behind me right now, but it does run down the swamp down by the horse farm.
Of course, right after they did the chip coating, we had 8 inches of rain the next week and a half.
No.
No?
We had 4
That was right after
The 21 inches
right
in
after
July.
our celebration up here. We had 4 or 5 inches of rain that weekend.
We had 7 inches prior to the 16th, and we had 4 inches after the 16th in July. I've got the weather
We had a
report.
tremendous amount of water since July.
We had multiple over 3 inches. We had way more than 4 inches second half of July.
Just
I think Concord had 18 inches.
We had 21.
Yeah.
The guy in town keeps
July
track of it.
totals.
and we didn't have a problem.
It was 7 inches plus prior to the 16th, and was 4 point something after the 16th.
I mean, they want the pipe closed, so I guess that's your guys' decision. We're arguing about the same thing as if the drain's working. It's working. What it's supposed to do is take it out. They don't want the water. So that's the thing on hand. It's working. The chip coat had nothing to do with it. It's because it rained that much.
Right.
The basin is full of sediment and the outlet is. And
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until I went and looked at the problem. We don't have a lot of catch basins, so it's not on top of my radar to go and check. And I offered to suck it out, but they just want it closed. So I'm not gonna spend money on a vacuum truck, it's expensive, come suck one basin out if I'm gonna run the water over it anyway.
But what's gonna happen 5 years down the road if I get 5 months into a garden and all of a sudden the culvert's full again and it comes and floods my garden out and destroys it? I got 5 more months worth of work for nothing.
We lost a lot of food this year, a lot.
All of it. We got some asparagus out early and
I can everything.
maybe 1 or 2 cubes.
And I've got nothing. I freeze can, I have nothing.
There's over 6 inches on that one page. Well over 6
Yeah, I
inches.
said there was 7 inches prior to the 16th. And it was 4 point something afterwards.
Yeah, this is Concord, right?
That's as
Manchester.
close as you can
Oh,
get.
Manchester?
That's as close as you can get historically.
Yeah, well, there's a guy right here in town that keeps the records, and he told me that we had 21 inches in Ware. He keeps records for Concord.
It's really irrelevant, because every rainstorm now it floods, so.
Well,
I
the ground's
can't-
saturated at this point. There's no place for the water to go. It's just running on top of the ground.
It's directly running into my garden. I can't have it.
Well, what's the board want to do?
I've lost so much
By,
sleep over
by,
it.
by closing that culvert off, are we just gonna cause a problem farther down the road?
We'll find out.
Potentially.
That's always been there. The one that is like 400 yards down is.
400 feet.
400 feet, yeah, so, has been there. I've lived there for 30 years, and for 30 years, that one's been there, and that one was the one that always took all of the water.
Well, you got all the water starting from 149, it comes down that
Slope.
road. It's a natural slope the whole way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
All
it's
the way down the
always
power
flowed
lines.
right by our house down to that culvert, 400 feet.
because
down.
that's a natural drainage that goes through and goes right out through to the water.
And
main.
everything I've read online says it's supposed to historically go where it has gone historically. It should
Water
follow
should
the same flow pattern.
We're going around in circles. We need
We
to
are.
come up with
Yeah.
something.
We are.
I mean, I kinda agree with Jack.
Which is?
Potentially close it, but if the road starts to
Have problems.
come apart, we're gonna have to open it back up to protect the road.
Are you gonna compensate me? Lost my property?
I just,
What about putting a small ditch along the edge of their line?
I go
Divert
over
the
that
water.
side all the time in my tractor. I can't,
We harvest wood and
I can take wood off that side of the property and drive my tractor over there all the time.
that's why we put the trail in, is to harvest the wood that was collecting out there
When did you guys put the trail in?
way back in,
Probably right around the same time they resurfaced the road, I think.
yeah.
Okay.
And again, nobody ever notified us that they were putting that in. We were never notified.
What, about a culvert going in?
Yeah, never, nothing.
I don't think they normally notify you.
They just replaced it because it was.
They replace culverts on 149 all the
Not a
time.
replacement though.
No, it's not a
It's a new.
replacement.
It's a new culvert that didn't exist before.
All right, what's the board's consensus? What do we want to do?
Cap it off and move on.
I think we gotta watch it. If there's a problem, we're gonna have to open it back
We'll
up.
have to reevaluate. We'll have
Benji
to
will be,
reevaluate.
Benji will let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know first, before I just open it. I will try to do it this week, if not, I'll be the following, if that's all right. I've got rented equipment, I'm gonna try to keep my guys doing that.
That's all we ask for, is just to have our property back.
Yeah. All right, we'll reassess after that.
Yep, yep.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Benji.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to communications, maps, coverage, CIP. Yep.
Just take a couple minutes, let him do
Yep,
his thing.
I'll let John do his thing before we
Yep.
get started.
must forget while I was here.
Let's see.
We're gonna hold off a few minutes, Jack.
You think John want to hear this?
I think you probably will.
You got a pointer?
I don't know what I got right now.
Laser pointer?
Does a headache count? It's over there. No.
Hey, Austin, you want to kill one of those lights, see if that helps a little bit?
I think it's one of those things stuck in there.
Oh, this?
I
Try
have
the
no
other
idea how to work it.
Try them both. Ah, that's better. Now I can sleep.
Or the other end.
I don't know.
Is that a drawing marker though?
No, it's got a light on it.
Maybe I'm not doing it.
Probably some kids played with it.
Probably nobody plugged them in. Thank God I brought mine.
Oh, there you go, Jack.
It's only at least 14 years old, because I haven't used this since I retired.
All right, well.
We'll have to hunt one up for
Go
you.
for it. It's probably you're right. They're probably not
Well, it
charged.
quits.
No napping.
Why not? Good evening, my name's Jack Dearborn, and I'm reading out a report this evening. Back on December 23rd, I believe it was, last year, Select Board hosted a Zoom meeting looking at for solutions for radios for the town of Ware. I worked with the various towns, PD, fire department, along with Motorola and two-way communications to try to get a idea of what it would cost to implement a VHF, a simulcast communication system. Again, we want to get back to a comprehensive and reliable coverage for the town of Ware. Next slide, please. This basically lays out for the police, and I'll take up the fire department later. A robust solution, this will require a multi-tower simulcast system, and I'll explain what that means later. Utilizing 3 towers, Mine Hill already exists in the form of Crown Castle cell tower. My understanding is we do have rights to the top of the tower for antennas, and that's what we currently have as right now. In order to implement this, we'll need to put a 100-foot antenna, a mast, or a tower, if you will, in South Ware Fire Department, as well as East Ware, in order to get total coverage of the town of Ware, around Chase Park and south of River Road, actually, south of the dam. We'd have to have a couple of receive sites. We're trying to minimize the construction. So what we wanted to do is use any things we could do, such as Mine Hill, and avoid any long-term leases in the form of towers or fiber optic lines for making communications between towers, and certainly avoid any access roads, power, fiber optic line construction. So what we're trying to do here basically is, oh, did you go 1 or 2? That's okay, 1 more. Thank you.
1?
1 more, please.
Right there.
Thank you. This is the best I could find for generic. It's got 1 tower here, another tower here, and the purpose of these, we happen to be talking about 3, but I couldn't find any with 3. What it basically happens is, these towers, total number of towers for us would be 3. When somebody transmits, all 3 transmits exactly the same time. Now that sounds easy, but in order to get exactly the same time, you have to have a communication between each tower. We usually implement either microwave links using a 3-foot dish, or we'll use a fiber optic connection. I'll talk more about that later. Next slide, please. This happens to be kind of a block diagram, if you will. This is Wolf Hill for the fire department. Mine Hill is sort of the controller for the Ware PD. And you'll see a green line here, and that is a proposed fiber microwave link between Mine Hill's East Tower and Mine Hill South Tower. There is 2 receive units right here, 1 at Chase and 1 at Clough. And because of the topography, we cannot link there with a straight line microwave. So we're gonna have to utilize fiber optics connection back to Mine Hill. That'll require leasing lines. I don't know what, I used to remember them as T1 lines when they were analog, copper wires. I don't know what it is today. I'm sure there's some kind of a classification that, and it has to be dedicated, because whenever somebody transmit from here, here, and here, it has to spread across the town at exactly the same time, and the receive units have to be sunk up exactly the same time as well. That's why this is required. This line here just shows that should the fire department implement capital, the closest for us to hit a microwave link is Wolf Hill and Dunbarton off
No,
149.
Deering.
Sorry. In Deering, and having that, it's about a 7-mile by the crow's flies. Next slide, please. This happens to be a Google map of the town of Ware, and you can see here is Wolf Hill to Mine Hill, South Ware, East Ware, Chase Park, and Clough. So those, the red lines are the fiber optics connections we will propose. Next slide, please. This is the equipment, and these are, if you racked up all the equipment, this is a 19-inch rack. Those units are wide. It goes into an actual cabinet with racks along the side. And all that equipment from Mine Hill or East Station, South Ware, that's basically what it looked like. If you open up the cabinet, you will see that equipment there. So this is not your CB radio or a two-way ham radio. This is a dedicated system, and most of this, the two lower ones here, are for timing of the system, and this is the two for the transmit receive. All the other stuff is interfacing to make it all work. The green, again, is the microwave connections between the various towers, and the red is the fiber optics connection. And this all goes inside of a HVAC controlled cabinet. So it'll be probably a white cabinet, probably be at least 2 or 3, probably 3 feet wide by 3 feet, and probably as high as it requires to put all the equipment in there for each site. And it's conditioned, air conditioned, so it's never in the extreme of the elements. Again, this is showing how we would connect various towers together, East Ware, South Ware to Mine Hill, and then Mine Hill to Wolf Hill for the fire department. Next slide, please. Now, this is kind of an interesting chart. It looks like an eye chart, but if Mine Hill is here, and you literally took a slice through the earth, and you look sideways at it, this is the Southwest Fire Station right here. The current station is down around this height, and the current, this tower will be raised 20 feet when they do an upgrade for Crown Castle, whatever they're doing, so it benefits us. The problem is, you can see if this was lower, and if this was lower, you'd be plowing through all this vegetation and through the earth to try to get a signal. That's exactly what's happening today with the UHF signal going back to the mothership at Mine Hill with the current border repeaters. There's currently one on the top of South Ware Station on the back side of the peak, and that's one of the reasons why the system we have today is quite marginal, because if you're plowing through all these trees, this is like a couple miles worth of trees to go through here, you're losing energy all the way. So what they're trying to do is get the microwave towers to have a straight shot. Next slide, please. Now, everybody talks about analog versus digital sometimes. I just wanted to show a brief chart here. If you had an analog system like we currently do, you'll see that the analog power starts to diminish as you go out in distance in terms of weaker signal. Whereas digital will continue to stay high clarity for their voice, for being represented for the voice, and finally drops off very quickly at the end. So that's why a digital system will typically be more geographic coverage. and also be very clear in terms of what you're hearing. On an analog, you'll hear everything, all the background noise, hear the popping and hissing. People remember back to the analog cell phones. You know, they were very hard to hear at some point. With the digital ones today, everybody uses digital today, very clear. And because of this phenomenon, quite often the batteries last 40% longer in terms of the charge for a digital radio. Next slide, please. This is a 100-foot tower, and believe it or not, it's 100 feet because you can count 10 of these little sections here going up, the 10-foot sections. And the base here, sticking out of the ground, is like 7 square feet, 7-foot square, I should say, 49 square feet. And below the ground, it goes in, next slide, please. Before you go there, just want to point out that the base and the respective gravel around the base is around 55,000 pounds. This tower is designed to withstand 100-mile-an-hour wind, 3-second gust, and also 1.5 inches of ice. This is the specification. This is that actual tower. This is the drawing that's done. You can see there's various sections. These here tend to be all the same, and as you go down further, add ones on. This gets wider as you go down through, and the strength of the cross members and the actual tower, 3 legs get bigger too. You can see here, I don't know if it's very good to see, but right here is all the specifications that I mentioned before. Typically, when people do tower design, it goes off a ANSI, ANSI/TIA, and right, it's American National Standard Institute Telecommunication Industry. This is basically the design criteria. I know a lot of people bring up the question about, well, where's the drop zone for the tower? Well, they're designed not to fall down. They're designed to withstand 110 mile an hour or withstand 1.5 inches of ice. Now, if we get more than 110 miles an hour, I'm sure there wouldn't be any buildings or any power lines standing. This may be the only thing making it. So, as far as any concern, this is the base. I mentioned this is 7 feet across here, 7 foot right there. And this is like 11.6 square. You can see this is like an inverted T, 18 inches of concrete. It comes up 7 feet, comes down 18 inches. So this is basically what's buried in the ground. It has a specification for all the rebar that's required in here. So this is designed, and what they came up with this is basically looking at the topography where the tower is going to be, whether it's shaded underneath a hill, or if it's going to be, you know, in our case, it's not on the ocean, but there are cases for that. And also, they have wind maps, which they have done nationally, and you look at your particular geographic area, it'll give you the maximum wind that you would expect. And you design it such that it's like a 1.7% chance of exceeding that in 1,000 years. So, next slide, please. Just for everybody's benefit, I just showed this is kind of a funky drawing, but the only one I can get. This is a microwave dish. This is probably, I'm suspecting with the distance, is probably 3 or 4 feet in diameter. And it hangs on the top, very top, and it tries to shoot a polarized beam going across from one to another. It's directional. It tries to absolutely hit the center of the next one. And that's how you can get instantaneous, near instantaneous communication between towers. Next slide, please. Okay, this is, I don't have a diagram of what the town of Ware's current maps are for coverage. But should we implement a Mine Hill, Sugar Hill, South Ware, and Chase Park, and Clough Park receivers, the town of Ware is approximately like right here. So it's 100% green, meaning this is a handheld, what have you got on your, chief, for radio? Handheld radio. And any place in the town of Ware, you can receive and talk. The problem isn't receiving, the problem is always talking, because you only got a 3-watt radio, whereas what's beaming at you is 100 watts capacity. So the problem is always making it back to the towers. So again, this is it right here. When Motorola designs these systems, they will guarantee, based on the map, that guaranteed 95% coverage in writing. And the reason there's a 5% there, because when you do the LiDAR maps, which is the laser that flies in a plane over a surface, and they make a scan, depending, I'm suspecting the town of Ware is 8 miles square, 8 miles on each side, I should say, 64 square miles roughly. And every 100 feet, they take a data point. So they know on a grid how high it is. So when they do this calculation, they can only resolve to 100-foot accuracy. So if there's a stream valley going through 20, 30 feet down into the stream, it may not pick it up. But if it's in a flat area, that's what this is treating it like. Everything 100 feet or more is a flat area. Next slide, please. This is actually the slide for the vehicle radio for the police. It's totally green. I couldn't find any. I actually zoomed way in. It's 100% green. Next slide, please.
Is that today?
No, this will be the future
That's
state.
with the.
We don't know what the future is. I mean, we don't know what today is, because nobody's ever run any of these.
The printouts of these,
Huh?
Yeah,
Naomi?
She sent
I
me today.
forwarded them to
but-
everybody.
I know you said you were gonna try to get them printed if you could.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
Okay.
This is 100,
Hang on.
okay.
You get two, you get that one, now what's this one? We just saw that?
Yeah, back down one.
No, that's new
No,
one.
that's not.
That's a new one.
That's a new
That's
one.
capital,
That's the capital coverage.
Back up two.
back up two, that's that one.
That's the one we've already gone over.
We went over that one, and the next
That.
one, I think, you said was 100%.
Down one.
Yep.
Down one.
That's 100%.
Do you have another one?
The next one is that.
That's the next.
Capital.
Okay. Well, anyways,
I
back
can
up
tell you
one,
where you
please.
are.
That one. That one right there, I don't know why it didn't come out, but, oh, wait a minute. Actually, this is the handheld radio. See that little dot right there? Slight dot right there?
Yeah,
Got a tiny little dot up here? Those are the only two places in the town of Ware that's not covered by a handheld radio. So essentially, it's 100% covered.
Looks like it.
Next slide, please.
Okay, now I had to hop back though to get that one. This would be your next one.
This is going to the fire department.
Capital area, yeah.
This is the town of Ware, like right here. You can see a lot missing over in
Everett.
River Road, Clough Road,
Yeah.
around the lake, and the southern west part of the town. So this is the current. If the chief went over to Capitol today, this is what he could expect, okay? So there are some significant holes for a mobile, which is a vehicle radio, 100-watt radio. That's the ability to receive within the town of Ware reliably. Next slide, please.
Yeah, we already did these. Hang on,
What do we got?
got a little bit messed up.
Did we miss some slides?
No,
No.
we got duplicates. So here's your fire. Because look at, this next one is what you just said.
All right.
So
Okay.
we have a couple extras. These are in the wrong place. But we're caught up right here. For the fire.
Okay. Again, same story.
Yep.
We're trying to get, instead of digital, this is analog. Why the fire department, Capital, wants to stay with analog, I don't know. I've asked everybody, I've asked Motorola, and they did all the radio work for Capital. And they just happen to don't want to change to a digital system. Their equipment can be upgraded by just reprogramming it, but they just don't want to. So So based on this analysis, we have to stick with the analog. So this is,
That's the map we just looked at.
right,
Yeah.
this is town aware here. Next slide, please. This is the town aware, which would be like right here, if we put in Mine Hill site, right here. If we put a Mine Hill site in for capital, and it links to the Wolf Hill in Deering, you'll see Craney Hill and Henniker, you see Gould Hill and Hopkinton, I don't know where these are, Pleasant Pond,
That's,
whatever that is there. And then you get into a Hooksett
no,
here.
there's a Pleasant Pond.
So basically, it's a ring. So Capitol and Mount Kearsarge, they have basically a ring, and the bottom part of the ring is open. And that's why if you flip back one, Naomi, you see how poorly this covers a slower section.
Yeah,
If you flip,
good.
there you go. So basically, by going with one antenna, one Mine Hill already exists, we basically put a transmit receiver and the timing control and the microwave to connect to Wolf Hill. The town aware practically gets 100%, and we'll see that on the next slide. So this is the town aware with a vehicle radio, 100-watt fire, 100% of the town aware. If you go to the next one, this is if you use the handheld in the town aware. This is sort of what, a little bit worse than if they did the analog police. It would sort of look like this. So even though they don't want to go to a digital implementation, if you wanted to improve this map for fire, you would have to have software, eastware,
Yeah.
maybe an extra, the 2 receives and maybe one other for down in this area. This seems to be the most challenged area. So basically, if the town aware wanted to go to Motorola, both fire and police, you would be able to cover the town aware reliably. And I didn't mention that when they do these coverage maps, they consider things such as foliage, no foliage, snow with foliage in the fall or the spring, without foliage, and ice on. So they actually consider all the environmentals for the worst case of this. Next slide, please.
There you go.
Here's the punchline.
Here's your end.
So, in order to get, I did basically the police up top, and this assumes 3 I use them transmit receive towers, and 2 receive locations. For Motorola, to provide the electronics and do their integration of the electronics equipment, is 718. For Two-Way, which is a company we use, which Motorola works very closely with, they're a certified Motorola supplier. Basically, to build the 2 towers, each tower is about $125,000 each. 100 for the tower, 2 of those. Roughly 20,000 for a generator and a 500-gallon tank. Any cement work that requires to be done, and also any wiring up to whatever, and the enclosure, the actual enclosure that all equipment goes into. Fire, because they really only need one more on the ring, if you will, from Mine Hill, and connect Mine Hill to Wolf Hill, is 160 for Motorola, and Two-Way is 48,000. I asked Motorola to do the cost of upgrading Benjis, which is a fairly straightforward, it's just a piece of equipment that transmit receives. I didn't get anything back from Two-Way, and I didn't get a chance enough to go after them. And basically, I'll just make a point here. Down the bottom here, installation completion within 1 year of the date of the contract signed. And Motorola is willing to pick up municipal lease for the total project, including the part for two-way. They do this quite often because a lot of towns just can't pay for it out of, so it saves you going to the bond bank. And so, any questions?
That's it. Almost what we thought, right?
Yeah, that's what we were quoted in December, pretty much, was
Pretty
right
much.
around $1 million.
Yeah, 1.4.
Now we know.
Now we know. Okay.
I mean, I gave Naomi a package.
Yeah.
You get some printed out, or you get one printed out?
One printed out, but we've got some duplicates on those other sheets. Those duplicate pages, you've got a couple there.
Did you print out my 23 pages, 25?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Where's the price for fire not going to capital area?
And, well, if you wanted capital, excuse me, if you wanted the fire department to go to their own upgrade, like the,
I guess so I got a couple of questions. Number one, it's a little bit of a sticking point for me is, where's Motorola? I was expecting Motorola here this evening.
well, they can come here if you wanna. They're happy to come
We,
here.
we asked them to.
Well,
Oh, I didn't ask him tonight, I asked for the maps.
Okay.
they can still come. They can bring two-way with them.
So, again, fire for capital area, great. We have no confirmation what the chief or board of fire wards wants to do. So,
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't think
okay,
anyone
so
does right
we want a price, obviously, on what it's gonna
They
cost
don't,
for
they
that.
don't have any,
Yeah.
It'd be up to them. to pay.
That's it right there.
No,
No,
that,
upgrading the radio system, not switching to capital area.
staying with 100, staying with
Where,
Goffstown.
where's that price? Do we have that?
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Do you wanna upgrade the fire department's town of ware equipment, not capital?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Okay.
I can estimate approximately $450,000 on top of what we got here. Maybe more if we need another receive site.
So almost double.
Well, half again as much.
half again, 50%
Well,
more.
actually, not so much, because it'll be a couple, maybe $300,000 more, because you would drop this line out, and almost a little more than double this. That assumes that you don't need more receive sites to make up for the analog part down in River Road, or elsewhere. You're welcome to call Motorola any day you want to, or two-way, I don't care. I just did all the legwork, and I just presented it.
I appreciate that. It's just
whatever.
not what I was expecting.
Be my guest.
Board of Fire Wards has to weigh in on some of this.
Yeah, and that's,
It's
I
not up
think.
to us.
I think we've
Right.
asked a couple of times, and I don't think
Well,
we've ever
that's-
gotten.
Really,
an-
I got an
yeah.
answer, no.
Yeah, we haven't got an answer either way.
No,
No.
that's in their,
Oh,
that's
we
in their
have-
ballpark, so.
We have
think
to at least have the numbers
But I think
either
there's
way.
things you gotta look at. I think you have to look at the long range of what Goffstown's gonna do with us, because we're up for dispatch this year.
Yep.
Right.
So is Goffstown gonna keep us?
Are they
Both?
gonna boot us?
I mean,
Are they gonna boot
I mean,
the
they've got
fire?
enough to do, honestly, with probably their police, their fire, and ours, and I don't know, New Boston, Dunbarton, he must go, I don't know if they do
They,
that still.
they still do PD.
They do, yeah. So I think with the increase in the nature of what's happening is, do they want to renew a contract with us for fire? Police, obviously, but I think that's a bigger question before you just go off and say, I wanna go to Capitol, or I don't wanna go to Capitol. I think someone else is in that driver's seat at the moment.
Yep.
Because we only have a dispatch with them until December. So we need to see what they're doing, because it's my understanding they're doing they're in the midst of doing
Housekeeping.
some housekeeping and upgrades themselves. I don't know what the staff situation is, I don't know any of it, because that's the human element that we don't know about either.
But with all that,
Somebody ought
with all that idea and concept there, I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing any number to the taxpayer without having a solid plan as far as dispatch services for the fire department.
Right.
They have to get
whatever direction it may be, I wouldn't feel comfortable going with any numbers because it's
Any
gonna
numbers
change
at
it.
all, or just for fire?
Well, according to Jack, it could go up another 400,000.
But I think I mean, it's been broken down. I think the PD's a given,
Right.
meaning what the PD number
Let me
is.
try to,
Right.
let me try to explain this. If you went with PD, this is an incremental add to put capital for the town of Ware, okay? If you don't do the fire department now, some of these numbers will go up because once somebody's climbing on the tower to rig the wires, two more wires is gonna kill them.
Yeah.
You gotta go and do a whole new plan before you go on an FCC-based tower. And you gotta say this, it's like, almost like a program plan to tell them exactly what they're gonna touch, because the structural engineers worrying about that stuff. So the intent here, and that's why I said, doing this kind of all at the same, I offered it base for police, upgrade for fire. And if you did this later, it would cost some more money to do fire.
Yeah.
Just because they gotta go back
Go
on the
back and do
tower.
it, yeah.
They
reinvent
won't
the
have to
wheel.
build any more towers, because I asked them to size this. It's not a big deal, but I asked them, make sure we got enough room for a microwave
everybody,
on
right.
Mine Hill,
Right.
or next to one. So, I've heard the arguments about going away from, or being thrown out of Goffstown, and the propensity of going over to
Capital.
capital. So, I mean, from my perspective, long-term, cheapest all around is to go to capital. Because if you try to do it in town of Ware, you're gonna cough up you're just gonna have to spend a lot more money revisiting for the fire, and I just don't think that makes a lot of sense.
But there's an additional reoccurring cost to go to capital, though. That would be the sticking point.
Well, no, this is a recurring cost right here.
No. Beyond the radio communication system, there's a reoccurring cost that's more expensive to go to capital.
Recurring cost,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard numbers like 70,
Yes.
and you get $26,000 back from Goffstown.
So you're upping it by 40.
You're up for another 50.
And if you
40,
scrap all
40,
this
50,
equipment,
yeah.
you won't be paying any service to R&R, because most of this will go away.
Right.
All these, right now, you're paying for and maintaining 10 sites that really don't work well.
Don't work
But
at
I think
all.
we started out originally because of the incident that we had, right?
Right.
Well, that was
For the
impetus
coverage.
that I understood.
So it appears that, let's take the top third, it appears that what's presented is $1 million, $1.1 million, looks like the map is green regardless, right? For the PD.
PD.
They shouldn't have no
One,
issue.
you got a working
Right.
system for the PD.
Yeah, and I think there is a moving target, and I already said it before, with the fire. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Well, you could take the chance on PD, and there's a lot of things you don't have to do, but you gotta get on that tower again and come up
With the fire, yeah.
For fire, but
Well, you're already
just
there,
Mine
just
Hill.
string some wires.
Just for Mine Hill.
But I think the Board of Selectmen it wouldn't be in their best interest to do just PD one year and then couple fire on next year and then have to have everybody climb the towers again.
Right.
I think it would
More
be it'd be a
expensive.
full gamut. It would, like you said, Jack, if they're going up the tower, they're dragging 3 lines up with them.
Exactly.
Instead of going back visiting a year or 2 later.
But I think the problem is, if you don't do fire, I mean, you're hoping, or you're waiting on somebody to throw you out the door. I understand that scenario, but
Yeah.
the same token, whether you're there, 1 year or 5 years, you're still suffering with the system. The service, I mean, that's.
I'm not discrediting that. I'm a user of it. I know. If anybody knows, Austin and I know. But
Sure.
again, I think it would be if we didn't, if the Board of Fire doesn't decide what they're doing as far as dispatch services, whether it be forced hand or voluntarily moving to capital area, that's going to change it. It's going to change potentially what we do here.
Have you told them you're open with capital? It sounds like,
That's not us. That's Board of Fireworks'
Board of
decision
Fireworks,
to move that dispatch service.
I think the other part of this is that right now the priority is to bring the police an upgrade. Bring them up to an upgrade one way or the other. I mean, it's gotta get done. It's a life safety issue.
I agree.
The bottom line of it is that we go forward, starting towards it. If the fire department is gonna get, to put it bluntly, get a swift kick in the can to get them to do something, and the Board of Fireworks, and that's gonna have to be put to them. And I think that, either way, we run the risk. And I think we're remiss in letting the manpower of the police department down if we don't start doing something proactive. We've made promises, this board has made promises to them to do something and get proactive. Here it is in front of us, and if we hold off, two things are gonna happen. Number one, we're gonna look like we're dragging our feet and we're not following through. The other part of it is these prices are only good for a certain period of time, and it's gonna go up.
I'm not disagreeing with that at
I
all.
think we ought to just start working towards that first top third, and then get them to drag them kicking and scratching if we have to along, or have them make
let
a
me explain
decision.
the temporal nature of this price here, 2021. If you sign today, you're not even gonna get it done till next year.
Right.
Even the later part next year, because guess what happened when we got our money from the federal government?
Everybody got in line.
Everybody got it, and guess what happened? When I started talking to them right after the meeting in December,
Yeah.
boom, all of a sudden, everybody in Massachusetts is asking for the same company. I had to wait 8 months to get my coverage maps, that's what gated us from being here. So, I just wanna make a point, that if you don't do it this year, okay? This price here is sort of like this year's price.
Yeah.
If you wait till 2022, you won't get it installed till 2023, and if you wait till 2023, it's not gonna get installed till 2024. So, there is I mean,
Well, it's going to 2022 regardless, because it has to go in front of the
not
taxpayers.
arguing that, so I'm just saying, you got a little time here to, work with the fire wards and figure out what they wanna do.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, is we're close enough to that December deadline to figure out what we're doing. I think we can get an answer out of them rather quickly.
I think we ought to get it
Within the
out
month, I would
sooner
think.
rather than later, yeah.
Well, I think within the month, we can probably get an answer out of the Board of Fireworks and the fire department of what they're doing as far as their plan, and,
The other, like I
and then
said,
move forward with
the
what
other
we
part,
got.
waiting on Goffstown, our contract's up, they could say, yeah, we'll renew police, we're not renewing fire.
Right.
And right, but again, I think we're close enough to that December deadline to have that decision made.
We better be prepared for it one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So, but, no, I think, I'm saying, I think you're right, but I think we're close enough to that December deadline, I think that Goffstown can figure it out,
Yep.
yay or nay, and the Board of Fires can figure out what they're doing, and we can have legit numbers 100% to go forward with.
We still need a price on the fire if they're not going to capital area, if there's no numbers there for upgrading.
Correct. Right, but I think we need to figure out what they're doing
Yep.
first,
Correct.
dispatch and otherwise, so.
I'd be happy to work with, to go after a standalone system, town-aware standalone system of fire. I'm just estimating based on the equipment I see. Yeah, you gotta replicate everything the police have, and you might have to add, you'll have to put towers up, that's why I'm saying the towers is kinda out of it. And, you might have to have another receive site because analog doesn't go as far. Now, if they wanna go to a digital system, they would have the same performance. If they were to go digital in the town of Ware, you know what I'm saying?
It's understood.
Same as this, and you gotta take out all the things that are common.
And I think the municipal leases, if, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
That would be maybe a way that's
That's a good.
making it more palatable than throwing it at the taxpayer for one.
As a full boat, yeah. And that's fine.
Because you can get, we got the DPW garage and the bond for less than 2%.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap.
It's pretty cheap. But,
If you wanna talk to Motorola about what they would do in terms of, the quote municipal lease, they sign up for it. And the other thing is, I really didn't push the DPW radio. If you want me to go figure out what it would cost to upgrade his analog system, just to have everybody at the same age, because I don't know how old that thing is now.
I don't know.
I really don't.
Oh, Benji's? I don't even think they use,
They use them,
They
but
do.
they don't get much coverage out of it.
no, they use their cell phones
Well,
mostly.
they don't get a lot of coverage because they don't have repeaters.
Yeah.
And as bad as the repeaters are, they do help.
Yeah.
And I'm not beating anybody up in the town of Ware based on the quality of the RF service we have. It was done through, incremental upgrades. I think started it all off was a fire. I think Bobby Richards got a fire grant in like 2002 or something like that to start building, the repeater sites. So it's like going from commercial ham radio type equipment, which is what we have now, to, a precise system that works, designed to work, not just applied to see how well it works.
Okay.
Well, I think we have numbers.
We have
Now
numbers,
we have
that's
options.
good. Yep. So,
If you need me to run some other numbers down, I'm happy to work with them.
okay.
Most of the Lions work's done. To price it out, it wouldn't be hard, because he just pulls up a spreadsheet and just he populates the stuff out he doesn't need. and
Right.
everything left is
Repopulates
what
whatever he needs to. Yep. Okay. Alrighty then. Board have any other questions?
Yeah, I just don't, I think that if we're gonna do this, and we're doing digital for the police department, why aren't we doing digital for, across the board?
Because Capital doesn't do digital, they do analog still.
They don't want it.
They don't want it?
I haven't quite, I don't know what it is. I've asked even Motorola, I says, what's the problem with moving to digital? He says they just don't want to change.
Yeah, because I mean,
know,
that's
because
an
they
old
had
technology.
success, but everybody running around with a handheld radio can communicate as well as their trucks can. Or ambulances, so.
No.
But that's another issue. I mean, anytime they decide to go digital, they just reprogram everything over.
Right.
Oh, I can't fight that battle.
No.
Alright. Well, thank you, Jack.
Yeah,
Much
thank
appreciated.
you.
Let me know if you need any more
Okay,
cost.
will do.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
You wanna hit the lights on your way out?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say that.
The lights on your way out? I knew that was gonna hurt. I knew that was gonna hurt. Yeah, that was gonna hurt.
You, don't wake up.
Alright, we'll move on to the manifest, which is right here. Look at that. Alright, move to order the treasurer's signed payroll and accounts payables checks dated October 7th, 2021, including the following manifest. Payroll manifest to $80,104.25 for weekly and fire monthly payroll. Accounts payable of $167,201.98. John Stark for $250, Ware School District for $250, for a total of $747,306.23. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the September 20th Board of Selectmen meeting. For a payroll manifest of $62,990.36 for weekly payroll checks dated 9/30, and an accounts payable manifest of $71,615.70, checks dated 9/30. As there's no selectmen's meeting scheduled for October 11th, further order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated October 14th, estimated to be about $75,000. Further order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $90,000 for accounts payables that cannot wait until next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion in the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Move on to the minutes, which I have not downloaded. Page 1. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Bless you.
5, 6, and 7. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Abstain. I wasn't here either.
You know.
Under the weather. All right, brings us to administrator's report.
Yeah, hang on a second. Okay. Tennis court, CIP, I'm gonna ask, so CIP is tomorrow morning. We're gonna do fire.
It's the second one, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do fire
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning, that's right. Not tomorrow. So our plan is to do fire. Now, you saw the numbers. Do you think we should at least throw it out there as a capital improvement? Or do you guys still wanna?
Well, I think that number could change significantly in our conversation here, depending on what.
And your funding source can change and,
Yep.
Right, so I would rather have a firm
Wait.
direction and, you know,
Okay.
firmer number, I'll say.
so the other, meeting, you two weren't here, but we went over the ARPA. I gave you guys each one of these ARPA. We were working on finalizing the quotes, for items 1, 2, and 3, which one was the ventilation in the furnace, 2 was the RO and the water bottling, and 3 was the, bathroom situation at Chase Park. Do you wanna add anything more? You heard from Benji on the message board. You two both weren't here, but there was discussion about 117,000 for tennis court and boat ramps. And then 3K at the Wi-Fi was added from when you guys weren't here. And then there's also others under 6. There's others we can talk about, or you at a place that you wanna do that yet? I'm just trying to see how much your money will stretch you is all I'm asking.
Right.
You got 1, 2, and 3. You heard Benji's argument for the message board.
Mhm.
You thinking of that at
Oh,
all?
I think that's fine. I don't have anything with 1.7 or 1.8 at all. I think that's.
Because
good
we have a
uses.
number for that, we've been given a quote for the message board.
Okay.
Same place, same one that he's gotten. So is it all right to put that one as 4 for now,
I think so.
and hang the other 2 for now?
The board, got any problem with that?
Nope.
All right, I'll do that. So John happened to come by today, and I had a visit from Chet Colburn. Chet Colburn, was asking the Collins Cemetery, some of you may or may not remember the discussion, some of you may or may not have been here. In 2017, we had a discussion about the Collins Cemetery.
Which is where?
The Collins Cemetery is over on Reservoir Drive.
Okay.
Above the entrance into town.
And so the question he came in with was his sister wanted to buy a lot at Collins. And I said to him that Collins, Collins is not owned by us, so we don't sell the lots. And I remembered that we had Terry Knowles in here having a whole discussion once. You maybe remember, I don't remember. But, so she wrote to me in 2017 that Collins is a private burial ground. The town didn't legally declare it, the town did not legally declare it abandoned and take it over. But we could do so, and then my question to him was, I wonder why we maintain it if we don't own it.
Right, that's what I was just gonna ask you.
Yeah,
Why are we
and
maintaining
he
it?
couldn't answer that. John and I looked at each other, we couldn't
Yeah.
answer that. So she proceeded, meeting Terry Knowles, to give us a procedure of how we can declare a burial ground abandoned, which is what he sounded like he was on board, meaning Chet. Because right now Chet has permission to be built there. Buried there, because he's a descendant.
Okay.
But his sister wants to buy a lot and not be buried. His sister could be buried with him, because she's a descendant, but she can't have a lot unless we go this route.
For others.
For others.
Yeah.
So, first of all, you have to place an ad in at least one newspaper having general circulation. The ad shall state the intent of the municipality, identifying the burial ground by name if known, and by names and dates of the oldest stones in the burial ground, with a request for only direct descendants to contact the selectman's office, town manager, mayor. If the burial ground contains no stones, the site will be identified with a detailed description. 2, not less than 60 days nor more than 90 days after the notice of the intent's been published, the notice shall be read at a regular selectmen's meeting, or in this case, a city council meeting. And if any descendants are located and grant permission, or if no descendants were located, then after public hearing, the municipality can declare the burial ground abandoned by a majority vote of the selectmen present and voting. So then it would become ours, after we go through this process. I mean, is that something you want to be done and get done, or how do you guys want to do
Well,
it?
if we're maintaining it already, I think it's
Yeah.
just, it'd be more of a formality than
Right.
anything. Which
Is there any reason not to?
I don't think there is.
No,
I
and
don't think so.
so while John was there today, when we talked to Mr. Colburn, and I said to him, that's not on our front burner right now. He's leaving for Florida in 2 weeks anyway.
Let's hope he,
I said it would have to be springtime, because in order for us to come up with the burial, we're gonna have to go take pictures of, I think we should take pictures of the stones, because if somebody crawls out of the woodwork, no pun intended, and wanted to say that, hey, that I have a descendant there, I need to have a little information, maybe as to who might be buried there and things like that.
Yeah.
So the idea would be to do front and back of the stones
A
to
little,
see.
a little,
A little
yeah.
bit of homework.
yeah.
So it's not high priority, but if that's something you want to proceed with, we can leave it on here and move forward.
I think we should.
Silly question, number 9, would they have any information on this?
Well, I guess I don't know what to do with number 9,
Yep.
okay?
I
So-
saw the email this evening.
Yeah, so I have no idea. The last conversation we had was regarding, you know, the makeup of, in the relationship with the sexton and the members.
Yep.
Town council wrote the August 5th letter that's out there unopened. I tried the chairman today a third time, and I left a message. I then have emailed and
What about-
asked how to get him to call me.
Send a
about
certified
Bill?
letter?
That's who I've tried.
Oh, he won't call you back?
So, I mean, I can still pursue it. I just don't know, they're not meeting, there's no notifications, it's on our monthly calendar.
But they're not meeting.
No. So I'm just saying.
That's what, the second Tuesday in the month or the first?
I don't remember, it's 5 o'clock,
Tuesday, yeah.
because they get here just before we leave, so they don't have to get a key.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess I'll continue pursuing 9.
Yeah.
But in talking to Chet, somebody met at his mother's house. Were you there for that conversation? Yes. She said some lady came, and then she had a map, and she wrote the name on it.
Yeah.
So there's a map of the place, it must be here. I just think all roads lead to here, and to clean it up once and for all before we lose
I think so.
Chet Colburn and the rest of them, you know what I mean? And then it would be a free-for-all, more or less. So I don't know, to tell you what 9 is, I'd have to see what cemetery maps we have in the.
Do we want to send a certified letter?
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
To the home.
Yep.
Yeah,
See, the letter came here because it was town business.
Yep.
Right.
yeah,
So I could actually put that in an envelope and send that along
Certified.
with a letter.
Yep.
yeah.
Certified. Certified letter. Now, it looks like I'm gone for a long time, obviously,
Jesus,
which I am.
what are we gonna do?
I don't know. Don't call me.
Whoa.
Just kidding. Other than that, I honestly haven't added any more. And I guess I'll ask, I've created a job description. You two weren't here. I created a job description as what we talked about. The only thing I'd like to add is for administrative assistant, full-time. And I'll read it if you want. Town aware, seeking a motivated individual, working to tackle challenges with high energy and develop positive working relationship with coworkers, residents, and public officials as an administrative assistant to the planning, zoning, in parentheses, land use and building department, working under the direction of the town administrator. This position will basically be the face for these departments. Major duties include, but are not limited to, answering the phone, accepting applications for planning, zoning, and building, scheduling appointments for inspections, preparing butters notices and public hearing notices, records management, handling walk-in customers for inquiries and other duties as necessary. Office hours would be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 7 a.m. to 5, off on Wednesdays. Successful candidates must possess exceptional attention to deadlines and time management. Applicants must be able to work extremely well with the public and independently, possess excellent judgment, be part of a team, and maintain confidentiality. Experience in a municipal setting is not necessary. Town of Ware offers a competitive benefit package, hourly rate starting, and I did $16.50 to $17 DOQ, depending on qualifications. Please direct cover letter and resume, 3 references, and a completed town application to me. And then I wrote, applications can be found online. Position will remain open until filled. First review of resumes will be, and I put October 18th, so we can get it right out.
Try it.
Yep, see what we got.
See what we get.
Well, we were gonna stagger it, just to do one and then the other, because bringing 2 in and, so if you're okay with it, I'll start running it tomorrow, see what we get.
I got no issue with that.
I don't have any issue with
Okay.
it.
Going back to your report, under building and maintenance, number 5, refresh my memory, what is that all about? And is that an issue with the plumbing?
No, if, I know you've never been in the ladies' room.
Nope.
I get that.
Put that right on the record, nope.
Can't remember that.
Give you a tour.
So if you've been in a ladies' room, you go in the door, you shut the door, you still gotta open a stall, and there's a whole stall and everything in there still. We were just gonna take the stall out, kind of neaten the place up a little bit, because it's really dated.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably 1764.
I was gonna say, if it's a septic issue, that's
Not
something we
quite.
could probably put under the ARPA money.
No, it's
There are two
not,
holes.
it's
Not a
not to
repair.
do with that, and it's not a repair. I just would like to take the walls of the stall
Gotcha.
down
Okay.
and neaten it up a little bit, because it does. It's like, there used to be more than one stall, it looks like, and they just left the end one.
Yeah, there
I
used
was
to
here, it
be,
was like, what, 1,500
that
bucks,
whole
you were
back
thinking,
wall used to be
roughly?
stalls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
There
was
wasn't a lot
like,
of
so
money
Kyle
there
was
when
gonna
the
do it in
school was there.
between, but I will share with you number 4.
Yep.
Karen has called 4 people to get prices, just to see what it would.
You're gonna have a hard time getting anybody right now.
Yeah, nobody,
Yeah.
Not until winter time,
And
in their
even
dead
then.
time.
Even
And
then,
then,
we
they're
were
probably gonna
hoping,
get booking.
we were hoping that if we got some numbers and had some reach out, that people would see we had a little work,
Yeah.
but there is none.
nobody's dying for work, though, that's the problem right now.
Well, work is very plentiful.
Yeah.
So, we'll give it, and then the roof, I called again today and they called me back and they said, we're gonna reschedule you, but I don't know what day. Cause it's every time it's rained,
Yeah,
it seems to be rescheduled, but we
they're
heard
way
about how much
behind.
rain.
Yeah.
There's so much rain.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
saw him
it's-
working right down the street
As-
from
as
where
is-
I am. I was
yeah.
gonna shag one of the
But
workers.
their plan was to do us in like a day.
Yep.
Cause they had the 2 roofs, this east
fire
ware,
station.
Yep.
the east ware, the 2 little sheds, and
And the
then
repair.
the
Barn.
east ware. So they were gonna do one day here, but they need a clear day. And now it needs to be dry a little bit to do east ware because it's exposed.
Right.
I mean, good news is at least it doesn't have to be above freezing
Right.
to do this. They can do
Yeah,
it.
the tennis
Yeah.
courts is different.
Yep.
I
Anyway,
think the tennis courts are out, right?
Yeah, that's not happening this year.
Not this year, it'll be springtime.
This year.
So if you let me know the day before, I'll go take that metal out.
thanks to all the rain.
Huh?
Yeah.
He shows up, we have a key too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know when he's gonna have to, I'm sure he's squeezing like everybody else is.
I'm sure.
All right, that's all I
The-
had.
The other thing
Yeah.
that we brought up was the guy that was gonna put the drip edge, not the drip edge, the
Gutters?
gutters on the barn down there. I haven't heard from him. We talked about him doing it, because he can do that. He's insured for that. I think he was gonna charge about $500.
Did he give us it in writing?
I think it was in that original, yeah, I think it was in that
The
original.
one that said he didn't have insurance?
He didn't have insurance to
They
do
do
the
roofing.
roof.
Yeah,
Okay.
his insurance bond said
Well, I'd
everything
have to
but
pull
the
it back
roof.
out, cause I thought we only asked him for the roof at the time.
No, we did both, the roof and the gutters.
He misunderstood.
And I think it was about 500 for the roof and 500 for the gutters roughly. So
I'd have to pull it back out, I don't remember.
can you take a look and just let me know tomorrow? Because
No,
No.
I'm not here tomorrow.
oh, you're not? Oh, yeah.
I'm not here on Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
East rear barn gutters,
Yeah.
question mark, okay? I don't, correspondence, I don't think we,
I only had one, and I addressed that earlier this
right,
evening.
I was gonna say.
And just the one we got today from the form submission about the ATVs. That's being worked on. ATVs, UTVs on Jewett.
Oh, the one that I replied to?
Right,
I
yeah.
replied and copied you guys.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I don't remember seeing the first one.
No, me either.
But that's really not, that's not,
It's not us, it's just a correspondence we
and I
got, that's
think
all.
I was just explaining that if you see it and call us, it's not necessarily gonna be, if we can get a tag number or a plate number, that would be
Right.
helpful.
Right.
So, plus they're stretched thinner than we are.
Unfortunately.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really thin.
So then the chief has, what, 2 non-publics?
3?
One non-public, but in the
Got
same
one.
thing?
Very quick.
I've got one,
Yeah.
Ricky,
Make it quick.
Correspondence?
Very quick.
Okay.
or other business.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Same column. All right, we got one piece
Yeah.
of correspondence, John.
Well, at the beginning of the show, we had a retirement party. I just wanted to bring up that we had another longtime town employee retire last Thursday,
No.
Bill Straw, from the transfer station. I just want to thank him for all the years he worked here and wish him well in his retirement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes. Well deserved. Well deserved, that man.
Yep.
So, thank you. Any other correspondence, other business from the board?
I see we have a return visitor.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I'll wait in line. I just wanted to follow up our discussion earlier with some additional information and additional requests.
Okay. We'll take care of the chief real quick. He's been waiting, and we'll be on it.
But
Well, we gotta go to non-public, and then we gotta go
If you're gonna hang the
back.
thing up, you aren't gonna get it back on.
That's
All
true.
right, so.
Yeah.
You get 5.
Chief, can you hang out a few?
Make it quick.
Thank you, Selectmen. We've got, based on tonight's discussion, the Conservation Commission has a couple tasks at hand to try to move forward with our program here. And one is retainer services, surveying services. The other one is currently still appraisal services. And my question for the Selectmen is, does a town purchasing policy apply to retention of those vendors, if you will?
I don't think we've ever crossed that bridge.
Well, we've,
We don't have a preferred vendor, which we've had in the
but we've
past,
had,
in other applications.
yeah, other applications, though, we have to get prices from them, like anything else.
But I don't think
Well,
we've
if it's
ever.
over a certain dollar value then, but yeah, what's the approximate cost gonna be for that?
You know, I mean, if you want somebody, you're talking about putting them on retainer for the town?
No,
being
no,
Just
preferred
for
vendor?
this particular
Just the one-time
project?
particular,
For this project specifically, we'll need a surveyor.
Right.
And as it stands now, we still need an appraiser.
right. I don't think we've ever
So my
crossed that with
question,
the with the
fundamentally,
services.
what I want to do is, pound the bushes, see if anybody's available, licensed surveyor, able to do this,
And have a pocket.
and move quickly on
Yeah.
a evaluation of, whether it makes sense and whether we have the funds to do the work.
I mean, you do it you do it like if it's, you need a plumber, electrician, or anything else, so. I
We
mean,
do it
it's the same.
for roofing too, so yeah, I think we would have to have, because this could potentially be over the threshold, so,
It seems like it
And
could
the
be.
threshold is 5, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking a large piece of property.
Right, no, our threshold on that policy is 5,000.
The town's policy, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think you would have to, if it's, get one, if it's over $5,000, continue to get 2 more. If it's less than
If you can
5,
obtain the 2 more.
Can we can do that short of a bid, just by soliciting
Yes.
quotes?
Right.
Yes.
You can't enter into the contract with them, but you can solicit the quotes. The contract would have to come here to be signed.
Right. But yeah, you can just solicit the quotes. It doesn't have to be an RFP.
Okay, because that can move things much more quickly than
Yeah.
a formal bid process.
Yep.
And so if an appraiser is needed, comes in at under 5, then we don't have to come back.
if it's substantial, if it's like 49.50, call that 5, just for argument's sake, then I would get 2 more because you don't know where he's gonna lie. But if we're talking like $3,000, I'd say no.
Yeah, we've already
Yeah.
seen 2 on that. I would
Yeah.
rather not
Just
have to go there,
you guys,
but currently it's still.
25 I got the policy right here from the website.
It's 25.
Purchases between 2,501 to 5,000, you have to have 3 quotes.
Right.
Right.
If they can be obtained.
Well, it says in order to obtain at least 3 quotes.
Okay. So if they're over 2,500.
But
Right,
it says if less than 3, evidence to prove that
Right.
you've reached out to 3.
right, and
So
we've
if
done
you
that in the
reach-
past.
If you've emailed 4 companies, you get 1 back, you've got proof that you sent 3.
That you did your due diligence.
Yes.
Right, because we've had that before, we try to
And
get 3,
5,000 has to
and
go
some won't
to
reply.
a newspaper and the whole thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Right,
Yeah.
I was
right.
gonna say, I just
So-
want it to be right
and some
before we
haven't
steer in
replied,
the wrong direction.
so-
Well, it
Yep.
could well come over 5. So is that something that we will be held to?
It says
I mean, we don't
purchases
know
over-
without asking, so.
Purchases in excess of 5,000 shall be conducted pursuant to competitive procurement guidelines,
Which is RFP.
which is an RFP.
Can we,
But I think that we, if,
Let's cross.
this board can override that.
That's right.
Let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right, this board can override that in the event that, I'm not saying that you can't find it, but if it came down to it, we could definitely override that as a board.
and what is your meeting schedule currently, or
I
for the
believe
next?
it's next, what?
18th is our next meeting.
18th.
Our next meeting.
October 18th.
So you're meeting typically 2 times a month?
Every other week.
Yeah.
The phrase is, first and third and others as needed.
Right. So if we had to pull together for a meeting off the book.
As
we-
long as I
we
have
could.
24-hour notice to post it.
We could, and we would. I don't think this board would have any opposition to that.
We're, just to frame this a little bit, we're trying to honor, frankly, as you guys are, the will of the voters.
Yes.
And the voters, by about a 2/3 majority, have expressed interest by committing town forest funds to acquiring more town forests. We're not making that up, we're asking and received that support, and we're not trying to strong-arm anyone tonight, but trying to exercise, our duty to the town also. And I understand that each of you here is attempting to do that too. As far as negotiations with our seller, at this point, it doesn't appear to me that we have a determination that the title is not marketable. What we have is a recommendation from the title company for a tighter property description, legal description. So our purchase and sale says clause, if I might, number 7, if buyer desires an examination of title, it shall pay the cost thereof. If upon examination of title by counsel for the buyer, the title is unmarketable, the buyer shall notify the seller no later than 30 days after the execution of this agreement. So I just want to be clear that, in my opinion, based on this reading, we do not yet have a determination by our counsel that the title is not marketable. So I don't know how the seller's reading of this goes, whether they, as we negotiate forward, I would guess one of their questions is the title, did you find the title marketable? And I think at this point, I can't say that we didn't, because what we have from the title company is a recommendation. So I want to be clear that, we found record of insurability with a recommendation to survey and get a tighter property description. So that's, just want to be clear, that's a recommendation, not a requirement of the title company. We could get title insurance, is my reading of this. So I wanted that to be reflected clearly. And I apologize for not having my self in complete order this evening, but just so that it is abundantly clear what we're talking about. In the deed for the property, we have a short paragraph here. It's describing a certain parcel of land with improvements thereon in the town of Ware, county of Hillsborough, state of New Hampshire, bounded and described as follows. And this is where we would also, as you guys have expressed, like to have the meets and bounds. It's a standard, there's a reason for it. But what we have currently, being a parcel of land on the west side of New Hampshire Route 114 in said Ware, across the street from a residence now or formerly of Edward Sawyer, and being approximately 85.2 acres, that's what our assessing records indicate, 85 acres, enclosed by stone walls. The property was inherited by the grantor from Ernest Page, late of Ware, and is shown in the Ware tax records as map 401, parcel 96, also known as 487 North Stark Highway. I've seen a lot of deeds. Very rarely in the deed and the description of the property does it mention map and title. So this is different, you know, and that's why I understand and I appreciate Title Pro pointing out that in their evaluation of titles and their evaluation of deeds, this one has some vagueness in it. But I wanted to be clear exactly what that description described as follows was. So it does tie directly to our assessor's records, map 401, and it does indicate the 85.2 acres that our assessor's database indicates. I just wanted to clarify on that.
Okay.
And, you know, the greatest essence is, we have our role, you've got your role. We're trying to work this together from both sides of the table here
We
to
appreciate that.
the betterment of the town.
Absolutely, we appreciate that.
I wanted to, you know, especially add that information and, you know, for the next step forward, I wasn't able to wrap my head around it and get to the purchasing policy question, because it could be a challenge. I expect it'll be a challenge, but we'll find out. It could be an insurmountable challenge if we have to come up with the extra iterations, so.
Understood.
We will solicit quotes, and as soon as that we could, in retaining a surveyor, provided that's the will of the commission, we'll meet a couple,
Next Wednesday.
yes, so 4th, 5th, 6th on
I
the
meant the 13th.
13th, so we'll meet before, you guys meet next. And the will of the commission will, if so, we'll plan to come before you, hopefully with some quotes in hand, so that we have a better understanding of just what would be suitable to meet the recommendation.
Okay.
Not requirement, but it's our choice to handle it in a certain way. So thank you for allowing me the few minutes to add some pertinent information to the record tonight.
Okay.
And most importantly, you know, discuss a path forward, which is really, I think, what the town would want us to do.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to go into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, A and C.
Yeah, one's just a notification for a public reputation of a business concern.
That'd be C.
Okay, that's it. That's
Okay.
all knowledge. Second.
All right.
That's for personnel.
Moved, so it's A and C.
Yeah, okay.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. And
After that?
we'll be adjourning after that, so thank you for watching and have a great night.